Hello, Parax. Hello, Martin Ramos. Hello, Mohit Gohel. Hello, everyone who's here. I hope that you are having a good day. It's always, as always, there's a lot of news. Hello, Paglavin Mama. Hope you are good. Good to see you. I'm quickly right now just going to post that I'm live. I've already recorded the videos. I'm going to always start doing that before I stream. Mohit Gohel. Are you Iranian? Maybe it just... I feel like Gohel sounds like an Iranian kind of name. I don't know, though. I've never heard it before from an Iranian, but I don't know all that many Iranians. I've met a few. I met a couple of Iranians, at least one or two. Do you know Ayatollah Khamenei? We were very, very, very good friends. Horrible day today. Yeah, looks like there are some pretty significant strikes in Tehran and also Lebanon. Looks like the US has hit them very hard along with its friends Israel. Wow. Also, every stream is getting demonetized at the moment, and then I have to request a review. Every review is passing, but somehow I'm getting demonetized every day, which is probably really affecting the ad revenue for them, which is ridiculous. Like, yesterday it had happened, the day before it happened, the day before that, day before, day before, day before, day before, day before. It's never ending. You couldn't get any sleep for 3 days in Kuwait. Now is the time to sleep, my friend, after the glorious Kuwaiti air defenses accidentally shot down an American plane, which is kind of funny. But no, I hope you're doing okay, man. Yo, all good. Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm still a little bit tired, but that's more of like a hangover from the weekend and a bad night's sleep, so I probably should get an early one. Appreciate you streaming after EU work hours. Yeah, I thought about streaming earlier today, but then I was like, oh, I guess there's a mixture of viewers, but I seem to have a lot in America and then lots in, yeah, lots of different places. Oh my god, apparently Netanyahu is saying that he's saving the world with Trump. By the way, well, actually, no. I don't know, just troubling times. We'll see how everything unfolds. Pete Hegseth's also given an insane speech, which is unsurprising. About to go back to sleep, though. Let's see if this lulls me into restful slumber. Nice, Molten Pandas. Scotland represent. Are you from Scotland? I wonder if it'll be as busy today. I wonder if people are going to be as interested. I guess there's still news every day. Working from home today, so perfect. Nice. I'm thinking about multi-streaming to TikTok now as well, because I think I can do it quite easily, and it would be kind of cool to multi-stream to TikTok, you know? Would be sensible, because I don't want to put much effort into it, but people seeing me on there would be good. But yeah, you all good, Elephant Fish? I've had to log off and ignore the news for a bit, popping in here to get my World War Epstein updates. Nice. Yeah, nice. You will enjoy them. Hello, Cyrillic name. I was going to say Russian name or Ukrainian name, and then I was just like, you know what? I'll say Cyrillic. Does your name mean thank you? Diakuyu?
Дякую.
Dakuyu. Is that the translation? Anyway, nice. I'm not moderating it. Well, you wouldn't have to moderate TikTok. It would be a multi-stream. I just may have to let the chat run there and TikTok can fucking deal with it. You know? Also, I'm seeing a lot of appreciation from Send Baron to go to Iran, and I think they should send Barron. I've also just spilt tea on my hands, which is not pleasant. Oh, nasty. Hello, Ray. Hello, everyone. How could this war potentially affect Europe? Depends how long it goes on, but quite possibly through very high gas prices, liquefied. Excuse me. Sorry, that was a loud burp. Liquefied natural gas prices spiking very high, cost of living going up even more, and then Europeans starting to whine. Also, Dubai getting struck is bad because it means probably a lot of the worst people from most European countries, biggest arseholes, will end up returning. Andrew Tate might return to Europe, although I don't think he can. He might be arrested. Yeah, Qatar's closed its gas fields. I don't agree with the war in Iran, but we should not be bombed in the Gulf, not the bases, of course. Just civilians don't deserve this. I don't agree with the war. I mean, I have different feelings about the UAE. The UAE is the UAE for me. The UAE is such a malign, destabilizing influence. Like, I don't have much sympathy for any of the other dictatorial regimes in the Gulf. But the UAE's behavior is obviously outlandish, even, and adventurous and problematic in ways that are incredibly similar to fucking Israel's. But yeah, I mean, I understand. I don't want to see like mass civilian casualties, but I do think bombing US bases is fine. I'm going to be honest. I think bombing US bases is fine. Is Iran out of the World Cup? No, Iran won't be out of the World Cup. So Gianni Infantino doesn't believe in banning anyone from the World Cup. And also, banning Iran from the World Cup would be pretty hard because they didn't launch the attacks. It would be a pretty, because the reason Russia is banned theoretically is because they launched a war of aggression, but they won't be banned. Gianni Infantino saying no country's getting banned. He says he's even gonna be removing the ban on. It is utterly ridiculous. Gonna even be removing the ban on. Gonna be removing the ban on Russia. Hey, QAP, it has been a while. You've been lurking. Thank you for the incredibly kind donation. Been a while, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Praying for the chatters in the area. Yeah, 100%. I hope that everyone is safe and doing well. And thank you so much, QAP. Really good to see you. I hope you're well as well. W Dono indeed. Aren't like 90% of the civilians in the UAE like foreign mega capitalists? No. The UAE would not be. The poorest inhabitants who are actually from the UAE live in different emirates, which so there are, I think 7 emirates make up the UAE Emirates, which are Sharjah, Fujairah, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Ras Al Khaimah. What are they? Ras Al Khaimah. Hold on. What are the different emirates? The Emirate of Fujairah, the Emirate of Al Quwain, and Ajman. So poorer people tend to live in the northern Emirates, who are actually inhabitants, but the majority of the inhabitants are obviously going to be South Asian workers who are imported into there. So yeah, the slave workers that will invariably pay the highest price. Wow, yeah. Did Iran close the Strait of Hormuz? This is pretty contradictory. So you saw some pretty prominent news outlets reporting that this has happened. I don't actually think that it has been closed. I think the problem is people are stopping for fear of being hit. I think that that's it, and it's becoming too expensive. Do you know if European would militarily get involved? There were discussions about the French, sending a carrier. What they might do is come in to protect the Gulf, I've heard, because genuinely, the US leaving the Gulf out to, like, hanging the Gulf out to dry is so comical when the Gulf has way more energy infrastructure, critical energy infrastructure than Israel does. Like, it's so comical, genuinely. Hanging the Gulf out to dry so you can protect the little settler colony that you just love so dearly. But right now there are big strikes on Lebanon because Hezbollah attacked Israel. I mean, look at the strikes on Lebanon already. This is in Nabatea. Nabatea? Jesus. It's crazy. They'll probably defend Israel. Yeah, probably. I don't doubt it. But I think they'll step in to protect the Gulf because obviously that's... The thing is that what might happen, one of the major issues is that Europe is now going to experience a big blowback. And I think Europe are going to be quite annoyed at America and Israel because Europe has already borne the brunt of all of the Russia-Ukraine stuff in the sense of Russia. We've had to move away from... Basically, Western countries have had to move away from buying oil and natural gas from Russia. And America has obviously poured money into Ukraine under Biden. And now people have diversified and it's like, oh yeah, gas prices are about to go up massively. And Americans aren't going to bear the brunt of it. Europeans are. And already loads of European countries are having... loads of European countries are having like cost of living crises coupled with a major rise in the far right. So amazing things are happening. No doubt this will actually contribute to what Trump wants, which is the rise of the far right. So things had seemingly gone a bit quiet. Things had seemingly gone a little bit quiet recently when it came to like Iranian attacks, but in my understanding, Iran is now striking right now. Israeli army says it is intercepting new waves of Iranian missiles. War Monitor has posted red alert in Gushtan, which remains to be seen as to whether there's anything significant or if it's just them taking out protection. Yeah, so sirens are apparently sounding all over Israel right now. Trump is set to speak again. Trump. Time is Eastern time. What time is it? Eastern time? Oh, Trump's ready to talk in about 10 minutes. Okay, so we've got that. Did you see the jet shot down by... Yeah, I did. That is actually crazy. Yeah, Israel attacking Lebanon was already happening, but no, Hezbollah actually may have attacked British bases in Cyprus. By the way, a little thing, no update from things taken off from around here. I hadn't seen anything, so, in this part of the UK. I hadn't seen UK bases being used in spite of them saying they were going to be used. But maybe this has all been missed by me. I genuinely don't know. By the way, I actually think Andrew Tate might be getting paid by the UAE to put out propaganda.
Dubai's here to stay, faggots. You're gonna have to get over it.
Oh, I shouldn't have played this.
You're gonna have to get over it. Stop crying.
Shouldn't have played that. Realized straight away shouldn't have played that. Of course he's going to say some kind of slur at the start. Brilliant. He was talking about meatballs or whatever they're he's telling us that Dubai is here to stay. I assumed he would have said some horrifying shit, but I didn't expect it to be straight away. Oh my god, right, before we get into news, also, have any of you seen this?
In the middle of the street. They said to lay down. And that's what we do, we lay down. Oh. It was either an intercept or a hit. And then you're supposed to lay down for 10 more minutes, just in case there's a shrapnel. So here it is.
I bet there's just like some random Haredi guy. What would make this video perfect is some random Haredi guy just not giving a shit about the strike and just like walking just like right past Tishbe.
Lying on the side of the street. Stay safe, everyone.
Is she faking crying? God, I didn't even watch this. I just said, like, I had a tweet. I said, your country's insatiable lust for land and power brought us here. You will find no sympathy, which I stand by 100%. But this person said, crisis actor, she's probably hiding under some garage in Miami. What are you talking about? She's obviously in Israel. Like, Tishbe's account may say she's in the US, but she is obviously in Israel. Like, and you know, 10 minutes above schedule. What's happening? Oh, no, I've been live already for 15 minutes, actually. Because I was a tiny bit delayed. Just said something in Discord. That was funny. Okay, cool. 100% no sympathy. Exactly. Israel launched a war of aggression with America, and now apparently we have to be very, like, upset. Oil prices rise, financial markets fall. These are, like, the major questions of, like, some reporting is suggesting that the White House is actually getting into a bit of a panic, and I don't necessarily believe that that isn't true. Like, I'm not quite sure that this is smart at all. Sorry, I'm not quite sure that this is, like, that there was any sort of good idea in what they've done, in, like, attacking and assassinating Khamenei for the visions that they have and designs that they have on the region. Zionists will do anything to try to make it look like they are the victims. Forget the women who being attacked on October the 7th. I mean, there are actually plenty of people who made up stories from October the 7th in Israel. Not even just, like, the ones that were used for propaganda. There are actually, like, loads of people who just told lies to get compensation and stuff. Just made up fucking stories. It's not like everyone. Of course, things did happen on October the 7th. There is footage. Yeah. But by the way, the attacks on Lebanon look really heavy. It's actually crazy. Heavy attacks on Lebanon. It looks like Israel's going to try and destroy Hezbollah too. And the Lebanese government has banned them, so we'll talk about that in a bit. I did see Starmer's speech. I will say, Starmer's a lot easier to search because his things are just coming out on his account, whereas Trump's aren't. Let's have a look what Starmer had to say. I haven't actually watched all of this.
Yesterday, I spoke to you about the situation in the Gulf and explained that the United Kingdom was not involved in the strikes on Iran. That remains the case. Over the last 2 days, Iran has launched sustained attacks across the region at countries who did not attack them. They've hit...
I mean, once again, they hosted US bases. They host US bases. I'm not actually that convinced or all that convinced by the notion that Saudi lobbied for the attack on Iran. I don't see what the Saudis particularly have to gain from Iran being attacked, and especially for their own population, especially for their own Shia population. Killing Khamenei is just gonna cause unrest, and it already has in Bahrain. But let's just hear what he's got to say. Because these Gulf countries host these bases, and what do you think those bases are for? What do you think the point of having a US base is? I don't quite know, you know?
Airports and hotels where British citizens are staying. This is clearly a dangerous situation. We have at least 200,000 British citizens in the region, residents, families on holiday, and those in transit. I ask all our people in the region to please register your presence and follow Foreign Office travel advice. I know this is a deeply worrying time, and we will continue to do all we can to support you.
No, it wasn't in CNN. I can't remember which outlet reported it. I don't have... I don't think the Shias here had always caused problems. I think, like, where are you talking about? In Saudi Arabia?
Our armed forces, who are located across the region, are also being put at risk by Iran's actions. Yesterday, Iran hit a military base in Bahrain, narrowly missing British personnel. The death of the supreme leader will not stop Iran from launching these strikes. Their approach is becoming even more reckless and more dangerous to civilians. Our decision that the UK would not be involved with the strikes on Iran was deliberate, not least because we believe that the best way forward for the region and for the world is a negotiated settlement, one in which Iran agrees to give up any aspirations to develop a nuclear weapon.
I don't really get what the point is in lying. They gave it up. They gave up the nuclear... They gave up their desire. They could have probably developed a nuclear weapon if they'd pushed for it, but they didn't.
But Iran is striking British interests nonetheless, and putting British people at huge risk, along with our allies across the region. That is the situation we face today. Our partners in the Gulf have asked us to do more to defend them, and it is my duty to protect British lives. We have British jets in...
You would think that when Israel and America launch a war of aggression, that it would be their duty to protect their allies who are most likely to... their allies who are most likely to bear the brunt of being shot at by the people that you've just attacked. But no, you know, apparently it's actually just the job of now the British to do this.
The air as part of coordinated defensive operations, which have already successfully intercepted Iranian strikes. But the only way to stop the threat is to destroy the missiles at source, in their storage depots, or the launchers which are used to fire the missiles. The United States has requested permission to use British bases for that specific and limited defensive purpose.
Do you think this will force countries to pursue nuclear sovereignty? Nukes looking like the only way to be safe from intervention. What I will say is I did see someone who made this point the other day, that actually North Korea's proximity to China plays a role in this as well. And perhaps there is quite a bit of truth to that. And simultaneously, one might make the argument that Imran Khan, I don't know if you pronounce it Khan, apologies to any Pakistanis in the chat if I'm getting it wrong. They have nuclear weapons, and Imran Khan kind of got cooed, but someone said the other day that this is actually also came from the army internally about Imran Khan. Anyway, that was something that was also internal. But there is also the argument that happened because the US wanted that to happen. But I do think having nukes does protect you in some ways, but also it's quite a dangerous precedent. Like, it is a dangerous precedent. Because the more countries that have nukes, the greater threat of nuclear warfare. But at the same time, the the Western governments have all of them. So what can you really say?
We have taken the decision to accept this request to prevent Iran firing missiles across the region, killing innocent civilians, putting British lives at risk, and hitting countries that have not been involved. The basis of our decision is the collective self-defence of long-standing friends and allies and protecting British lives. That is in accordance with international law, and we are publishing a summary of our legal advice. We are not joining these strikes, but we will continue with our defensive actions in the region.
I like how you're giving them access to your bases, but you're not joining the strikes. And hello, Tony, and hello, everyone else who's here.
And we will also bring experts from Ukraine together with our own experts to help Gulf partners shoot down Iranian drones attacking them. I want to be very clear.
By the way, don't they all show off about these lasers that they show off that they constantly are like, well, we've got our own lasers and we can shoot down drones. Why haven't they been selling them to the Gulf? Or is this just like a massive oversell of how effective it is actually using lasers on drones? Because this is the whole thing that the UK, and I think it's a BAE thing, they pride themselves on. They're like, we have laser cannons that shoot down drones. And also, Pakistan internally. I thought Imran Khan said that there was also that they had access to a cable from the US, which made the claim that they were like, oh, you do away with him and we'll accept it. I remember reading about that a while ago, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a Pakistan head, to be honest. Sorry, there's something I wanted to add for the Kuwait stuff later.
We all remember the mistakes of Iraq, and we have learned those lessons. We were not involved in the initial strikes on Iran, and we will not join offensive action now. But Iran is pursuing a scorched earth strategy. So we are supporting the collective self-defense of our allies and our people.
No, by the way, I'm not being stupid. This Dragonfire laser system is a real thing. Here you go. This thing, it was being tested in the Hebrides. It's this really cheap thing that you can use to shoot down drones really quickly. It's not like something that I've just come up with.
In the region. Because that is our duty to the British people. It is the best way to eliminate the urgent threat and prevent the situation spiralling further. This is the British government protecting British interests and British lives.
So what their argument is right now, one of the problems is that drones are really cheap to fire in and they're quite difficult to intercept without something expensive. So the argument is that this Dragonfire thing might be expensive to build at first, but once you have it, cost effective wise, it requires a short amount to shoot down drones. Oh. But no, I mean, obviously Keir Starmer is joining a war of aggression on another country. Like, he is. It's just categorically true. Also, I think Trump is set to speak, but he's already delayed. Hold on. Let's have a look. Trump has 4 million subscribers on YouTube. Trump set to speak. he's set to speak at a Medal of Honor ceremony. Speaks at what is this? Speaks on Iran strikes awards. So there's something going on with the Medal of Honor ceremony. I don't quite know when this is. It looks like there's just sort of faffing going on right now. Said to New York Post he won't rule out sending troops to Iran. Yeah. They're already now talking about sending troops to Iran. Now Hegseth said the same thing. Hegseth was like, "Oh, we're not gonna rule out like that kind of stuff." He said he wouldn't do it.
Have started again here in Tel Aviv. People are in bomb shelters at this very moment, and I'm just going to keep looking off as I speak to you here so we can get an understanding.
Trey Yingst is reporting about the strikes inside Iran.
Where the
inside Israel.
Fire is located. Look, right now the Israelis understand that this is going to cost something. War is never easy. It's not going to be easy for the United States or for Israel, but they are doing what they can to neutralize the threat from the Iranian regime. We know that President Trump was very clear. He is calling on the people and just they would be here to have.
Fucking hell. Wait. Oh, that's what's causing the issue. Hold on. Also, I've just seen someone report this. Dominic Michael Trippi, who's which is a funny name. I assume it's Italian. Dominic Michael Trippi. He said, now deceased Supreme Leader of Iran, Khamenei was reportedly suffering from prostate cancer and was expected to die within the next year from his worsening condition and old age. In his obituary in The Guardian, they're talking about this. There have already been rumors of his demise. He's a very old man, so I don't know. Could have quite possibly died at some point soon in the near future. So yeah, pretty much just tuned in. How do you think this would end? That's a really tough question, mate. I think anyone giving you really broad predictions about X, Y, and Z definitely happening are not unable to do that. I think currently Iran has escalated in a way that not many people would have expected. Iran has always had this, and I've literally always said this. There are so many people who say over and over again, the US has all these aircraft carriers, we're going to blow the shit out of you, we're going to do the...
it is utterly ridiculous.
We're going to always destroy you and blah, blah, blah. But put frankly, the Iranian government has always had this ability to strike countries close to it. You slip a drone in and you can basically paralyze the economy of the UAE. By the way, they have a ton of other means to escalate that they are yet to use. So, for example, desalination facilities in the Gulf. They can actually hit them. And it looks like there have been attacks on, I believe, at least Qatari oil facilities. If they hit those, it'll create this situation where that is untenable, and you're kind of seeing that right now. Of like what's happening, and it's leading to gas spikes in Europe, and the longer this goes on, the bigger the problem is. But obviously the Iranians won't back down after Khamenei has been killed. Greg McGregor, thanks for the £5. You lose a virgin cringe. I keep my savings in stocks, bonds, and currency. Me, GigaChad, Volcel, respected by women. My bathtub is full of petrol. Mate, you've been advising this. It's quite a smart idea. Yesterday you were talking about it, but I feel like you might ruin the bathtub. But I think you could maybe make some money out of that. I should have invested yesterday. Apparently, Iran has launched Sejil missiles. Apparently, they used, I think they're called Khaybar missiles yesterday for the first time, which is reference to a famous battle, I believe. Look at this, look at this.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
People seem to be enjoying it. Buy new bathtub with the petrol money. What about multiple bathtubs? What about a hot tub in the garden? What do you think about that, Greg? Filling up the paddling pool. I'm just seeing if Trump's ready to speak yet. No. A bald man has just entered the room. And there's the lady who was complaining the other day about something. Looks absolutely mental. It does, yeah. But anyway, on the topic of Khamenei, someone mentioned if he was ready to die, why was all of his family around him? I don't think, by the way, I don't think Khamenei was, like, not ready to die himself. I don't think he would have wanted his grandchild being killed. His wife, because of maybe the age of his wife, might be the same as he was. But also, you know, it's not unreasonable to believe that, you know, someone as, like, a devout religious figure may have been, well, probably definitely was committed to the concept of martyrdom. There's a video of him talking to a kid where he's like, no, you shouldn't become a martyr at a young age. You should contribute to your country and then become a martyr. Like, yeah, and I guess he did become that. I genuinely, I'm still dumbfounded by all of the top brass of the IRGC being around him. You know, I have followed your investment advice, Greg McGregor, but got thirsty and drank the petrol. What do I do? How can I salvage this situation? Please, I sold my car for this. I think if you just light a match and, like, burp or something, it'll be fine. It'll get rid of all the petrol in your tummy. Your tummy might be a bit sore for a few days, but I think it'll be fine. I don't know. I'm no expert. Oh my god. I guess. Oh, wait. I want to do this as, like, a little fucking funny segment later. Oh, wait. The Israelis are really enjoying this. Have a look at this. This is Benny Gantz, a famous Israeli moderate, with his brilliant campaign ad about what's happening in Iran. What the words say, our children's safety above all, not relying on Arab parties. A national consensus government without Ben Gvir and without Ra'am. Kahol Lavan, blue and white, led by Benny Gantz. Israelis are really incredible. I Really Hate You is a very trustworthy source for translating Hebrew. Someone who I'd actually recommend following and looking at his translations of Hebrew. They're much better than, like, some of the dodgy people you see online. By the way, Trump is now delayed already by 11 minutes, which is longer than I'm normally delayed by for my stream. There's just some soldiers standing around in the corner. So I guess I'll just wait until this I
am not.
Oh, wait. Keir Starmer's also talking right fucking now.
President Trump has expressed his disagreement with our decision not to get involved in the initial strikes. But it is my duty to judge what is in Britain's national interest. That is what I've done, and I stand by it. But, Mr. Speaker, it is clear that Iran's outrageous response has become a threat to our people, our interests, and our allies, and it cannot be ignored. Iran has lashed out across the region. They've launched hundreds of missiles and thousands of drones at countries which did not attack them, including the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Iraq, Bahrain, and Oman.
Oman! God, my favourite country, Oman.
Overnight, Hezbollah, Iran's proxy in Lebanon, launched attacks on Israel, seeking to escalate the war.
It is genuinely amazing. Genuinely amazing. I don't think this guy has said shit about the alleged since the alleged ceasefire. Israel continuing on with its major bombardment of Lebanon since that day.
Mr. Speaker, there are an estimated 300,000 British citizens in the regions, residents, families on holiday, and those in transit. Iran has hit airports and hotels where British citizens are staying. It is deeply concerning for the whole House and the whole country. And, Mr. Speaker, our armed forces are also being put at risk by Iran's actions.
I mean, outrageous response. Whew. Quite something from Mr. Starmer. Thank you, Mr. Starmer, for your amazing words. Also, why is this a thing? Why is it just people fucking gaggling? Trump has spoken today as well, by the way, already.
I just got off the phone with President Trump.
Oh, no, he hasn't.
It was a 9-minute phone interview, and we talked just about the war in Iran. I'm going to share some of it with you right now. The president said, quote, "We're knocking the crap out of them. I think it's going very well. It's very powerful. They've got the greatest military in the world, and we're using it." I asked the president how long he thought this military operation or war might last. He said, quote, "I don't want to see it go on too long. I always thought it would be 4 weeks, and we're a little ahead of schedule." I asked the president if the U.S. was doing more than these military strikes to help the Iranian people regain control of Iran against the regime, to seize the country from the Iranian regime. And he said, yes, the president said, yes, we are indeed. But right now we want everyone staying inside. It's not safe out there. And then the president said, it's about to get even less safe. He said, quote, "We haven't even started hitting them hard. The big wave hasn't even happened. The big one is coming soon." We asked him about a bunch of other stuff, too, that I'm writing up, and we'll share later on The Lead at 5 p.m.
I mean, obviously the US and Israel have hit Iran hard. I'm sure that they can carry out larger attacks. I'm sure that they will carry out larger attacks. They have the capacity to do as they please in the region and kill as many people. But already, I mean, Al Jazeera had a graph this morning that was actually pretty good to look at, and we could watch the second Trump speech, but I keep thinking that this is going to start soon. Okay, so this is a graphic by Al Jazeera of like where people have been killed and injured. Obviously, this was this morning at 9 Greenwich Mean Time. Here, so in these blue are attacks by Israel and US, attacks by Iran. I think it should say Israel and or US. So obviously in Iraq, he's saying that attacks by Iran and the US or Israel have led to 2 killings and 5 injured. In Kuwait, 1 has been killed, 32 injured. The US service members, where they didn't know at this point, but it's in Kuwait is actually where they got killed, I think. I'm pretty confident it's in Kuwait. Is where... Hold on. Yeah, the Washington Post confirmed this earlier. The 3 slain Americans were part of a sustainment unit in Kuwait, 2 US officials told the WAPO. So that's where the US service members were killed. There are 5 seriously wounded, so maybe they will also meet their maker and pass away, who knows. It remains to be seen. Sorry, someone just messaged me. Ooh, someone just offered me an interesting opportunity. So I'm just gonna post that I'm live. So all this is happening because Bibi got that incriminating video of Trump. A-Up Lovely posting like a guy who doesn't believe in the existence of UK libel laws. I mean, A-Up Lovely posts like he doesn't believe in the existence of any laws sometimes, but fair play to him, you know. I mean, he was right about Peter Mandelson, certainly. More right than most. Sorry, someone messaged me asking if Khamenei was bad, and I was like, well, yeah, I mean, yes. I'm assuming you're right, Pakistan has also seen people killed. Has it been said whether they were killed by the US, or they were killed by, or they were killed by, like, other Pakistani security forces. But yeah, just look at these countries. Saudi Arabia has seen no one killed. Bahrain has seen 1 killed, 4 injured. The US and Israel sustained heavily. That is why the US is considering deploying ground troops. I think also the other reason is because whilst they're saying stay inside, it's pretty clear that Iran is not all united behind the notion of, like, US bombing being fun and cool. Like, that's just obviously was never going to be the case. That the US bombings were never always going to be well received by everyone, you know? And the only way you do regime change is with boots on the ground. The US will end up with boots on the ground, by the way. It will if regime change is the thing it's going to pursue. But that'll be a catastrophic choice by Trump. This is already so compared to 5 days into Iraq. I mean, I didn't grow up with the Iraq war. It's not my area of expertise. By the way, the no politic here is, you probably guess what the no politic here is going to be about. It's going to be about Iran, and we're going to talk about some history. So I'm going to be doing some Iraq war reading throughout the week. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's pretty wild. It's all pretty wild. So Iran has already seen at minimum 555, but I think the number is way higher. Then Qatar, 16 injured. UAE, 3 killed. Oman, 5 injured. It's already a sizable amount of people killed, and the scenes coming out of Tehran that I'm not going to show, there are a lot of people who've already been killed in these places. In Tehran, and probably more. Also, Trump is already 20 minutes late, which is insane. Good morning, chat. Good morning, Jules. Imagine dying for the Epstein class. By the way, Epstein class is the best bit of Iranian... the discursive tool of the Iranian propaganda that I've seen so far, calling them the Epstein class. I don't know if they invented it, but I have seen it coming out of Iranian propagandists. My fiance lives in Iran, and they don't like the mullahs, but they hate when the USA is bombing their loved ones there. Yeah, I mean, I see difference of opinions. It's a new Libya or Syria that is fractured enough and desperate enough to dominate. I mean, maybe one of the things that people have been talking about is how they're kind of trying to state collapse. Maybe I'll do like a little segment and get that sent over to Ethan's basement, because I think there's appetite for these kind of things. These kind of videos. Read about during World War I and World War II in Iran. What do you mean? Why should I read about World War I and World War II in Iran? Why? They need to start calling it Operation Epstein Fury. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Iran is going to even bother using the name. To be honest, right, Epic Fury is bad, but Just Cause is the most insanely named fucking operation, and the justification for naming it Just Cause was insane. That's when they invaded Panama to take out Noriega. Their reason that they named it that was because they wanted anyone who would condemn it to have to call it Just Cause. Obviously, no one is calling this Operation Epic Fury anymore. Why do the diaspora minority voices matter more than the majority voices living in Iran? Because the West always relies on this kind of stuff. The invasion of Iraq was premised on highlighting Iraqi diaspora people and its... one of the diaspora people is like of using diaspora people and being like, well, the people in the diaspora say they hate and you'll be welcomed as liberators, and people did believe it. Also, by the way, someone has pointed out, which maybe there is some significance to this, Sina Tusi is saying, this is a big deal. Big deal, and China in relation to the US doing things. I don't know. This is a big deal. China gets a significant share of its energy from the Persian Gulf, yet it's backing Iran like this even amid escalating regional attacks. Wang Yi held a phone conversation with Abbas Araghchi. China supports Iran in safeguarding its sovereignty, security, territorial integrity, and national dignity, and supports Iran in upholding its legitimate and lawful rights and interests. China has urged the US and Israel to immediately cease military operations, preventing further escalation of tensions and stop the conflict from spreading and engulfing the entire Middle East. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi had a phone call with Iranian FM Said Abbas Araghchi. Any update, or am I still just looking at this guy? This guy's got a bad hairline, by the way. Sorry, bro. This guy's got no hairline. So yeah, just noting some things. I'm just going to go get my water. Hold on, it's literally just over here. I'll be back in a second. You adore me. Go to work, I'll be listening. Enjoy, Les. Good luck with your work. Another sternly worded letter incoming. China is selling Iran everything. Iran didn't fight and got massacred. Why the mullahs never went to surrender again to the US and UK, and before it fell to the Soviet Union. I mean, wait, during the First World War, look, I'm not enough of an expert, but didn't they try and raise a Shah? Didn't they try and shirk off the Russians at some point in the 1930s? I don't know enough. I don't remember enough. It wasn't what I was searching. But I don't think that necessarily bears so much into it. Was that a 2-minute warning? China could stop trade with Israel. Yeah, I don't think it'll do that. Can we have a communist Iran? That's not really my decision. Iran's missiles with Beidou. Iran just received a batch of J-10s and drones from China. They were supposed to follow up with ballistic missiles, but the war broke out first. Yeah, I did see that. Hold on, let me just have a look. Axworthy. I remember reading bits and pieces about it, but obviously my focus was on other things. Shah brought benefits in the 1930s, blah, 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 blah. British wanted the expulsion of German nationals. The Shah refused. Russian and German troops invaded, but the Shah's forces were no match. The Allied troops entered Tehran. Oh, yeah, that's it. They wanted to. They refused to expel the Russian and German troops to the British, and then the British, the Allied troops entered Tehran and crushed the Reza Khan, the grandfather of the little pretender in chief. I can't believe this, by the way, that Trump makes all these people get dressed up with their little medals and then they have to just stand around and wait. By the way, Netanyahu's talking shit.
Started by the terrorists in Tehran against innocent civilians. You see the difference. The tyrants of Tehran target civilians. We target the tyrants of Tehran to protect civilians.
Also, by the way, very obvious that Israel has had a long-standing desire to mass kill civilians. Anyone, when I saw that video last week where someone was pointing out like examples where someone had military history and they were also a medic, and it was, you know, Israel posting this, PIJ posting this, and blah, blah, blah. The fact is Israel has massacred so many medics and paramedics over and over again that, like, what do you have to say? Remember the Rafah massacre? The Rafah massacre? That was one of the most insane things imaginable. Israel just mass killed 15 paramedics and then claimed they were Hamas and, like, dug graves and pretended that they were, you know, pretended that they were Hamas and, like, justified it. Also, whilst we wait for Trump, we'll listen to just like some short clips from people. I'll just check Al Jazeera because obviously I kind of want to get into things, but like this feels quite important. Iran-aligned group claims 23 drone attacks. The so-called Islamic Resistance, an umbrella group aligned to Iran, has claimed responsibility. So, seemingly, there are massive attacks being carried out by the allies. The allies of Iran in countries. And allegedly Hezbollah, I mean, has even attacked the British. And I have seen what you're talking about. You asked about the Qataris saying they've taken down some that they've taken down some drones. So at least 26 killed in Pakistan. Trump posted a video about Iran on his Twitter. Yeah, I've seen that, and we might watch that later, but it's just I'm currently fucking waiting for him to talk here. But unfortunately, he's done this thing of where he promises to come at a certain time, and then he's very late, and now I'm just watching a bold man chill with some military figures. Constant state of emergency. US, Israel attempting to blunt degrade Iran's weapon system. That's what they were saying. Starmer says Iran stepping up its reckless strikes. Trump claims 49 Iranians killed. Big wave of Iranian leaders killed. I'm so angry. Yeah, and of course, what happened to Hind Rajab was fucking barbaric. We all know the heinous story of what the Israelis did to Hind Rajab, and the voice of Hind Rajab is good. It was well worth seeing. Although I didn't cry at it. Everyone else in the cinema seemed to cry. I don't know why I didn't.
What if there?
I cried a lot at No Other Land, but not that. I don't know why. I guess I knew the story and had experienced a lot of sadness. Not to say that the film wasn't very saddening and sickening, or very good.
Our refugees leaving Iran, they will be housed in the Middle East. We can't take any more refugees from these conflicts. We simply can't. And if we help get a much better regime in place than the theocrats and extremists that have been there for 47 years, what you would actually see is a lot of people living in Britain who came from Iran originally would go back.
By the way, you wouldn't see this. This is utter bullshit. Even if Farage's fantasy worked out here exactly as he claims, climate change will fuck Iran and it'll continue to fuck Iran. I mean, it already is fucking Iran. So the more it fucks it, this notion that people are just going to move away from the UK to there is insane. Also, a lot of Iranians have made their lives and live here. Like this notion that, oh, we'll fix it and everything will just be okay and then everyone will just go back to Iran is insane to say. He also, by the way, wants us to bomb Iran.
Do you think they should be forced to go back?
No, I'm not suggesting that. I mean, there are Persians here who came from 1979, from the time when the mullahs took over. And I know many of those people that I've met would love to go back to their home country, but away from the barbarity of this regime.
Yeah, Reform have been giving some interesting statements on all of this. By the way, I gave my... So I thought I might have got to appear on one of these stupid TV shows like GB News and stuff. I gave my number to a couple of people who ask you to go on these shows. Of course they didn't get back to me. Apparently, and the person who told me how to do it, they were like, oh, they always want left-wing voices to go on because they can't get enough of them. They have ignored me. And I know why that is. People don't want to bring me on because I know what I'm fucking talking about. They're scared of the Chris K. Middle Eastern studies. Surely a single bomb causes more environmental damage than a year of factory operations. I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's necessarily true. Better than these theocrats, as if Israel isn't their ally, isn't a fucking theocracy. I mean, as well, by the way, Israel is driving off a cliff continually towards becoming insanely theocratic, ruled by people who believe in Israel's divine and religious right to conquer the MENA, to conquer vast swathes of the MENA region, to destroy Al-Aqsa, and to just cause a major issue. Sorry, there's a lady saying that Israel and America have done a double tap strike in Iran. How is Trump 30 minutes late? This is very unprofessional by the old man. They want punch bags. Who wants punch bags? The truth is the UAE is probably the Arab country most interested in massive bombing of Iran, and these people like Reform UK are fully paid up by the UAE. Richard Tice, listen to this. Oh, no. Richard, that was the wrong thing. Richard Tice is, a massive fan of the UAE. Richard Tice is would-be deputy prime minister, I believe. They all love the they all love the UAE, and his reforms Richard Tice speaking out at he's the deputy leader and shadow business, trade and energy.
Of course, the other people that we should thank is the leadership of the United States of America, the President of the US, and the leadership of Israel. Thank you!
I love how his party is like, no to refugees from Iran. No, fuck off, you're not coming here. Thank you, Israel! Thank you, Israel!
That, ladies and gentlemen, I see courage in front of me, and I see the courage of leadership to take difficult decisions. And then I look over there. I look over there, and I see weakness. I see gutlessness. I see cowardice.
By the way, this isn't even a very good speech. Like, it doesn't inspire anything in me.
This Prime Minister and this government, they haven't even got the guts and the courage to say that they support this action. Oh no. In fact, yesterday, this Prime Minister, he distanced himself from the actions.
Israel struck the Iranian embassy in Beirut.
He was desperate to tell his Islamist friends that we had nothing to do with this.
Amazing. Thanks, Richard Tice. By the way, all reform are gonna be like accelerated Tories that are a bit more racist. Like, they're pretty troubling, and Robert Jenrick troubles me much more than Farage does, which is saying something. But they're just going to be like way more MAGA kind of foreign policy of just drawing us way closer to Israel. Also, Ahmadinejad is apparently alive, and you'll never guess who the source for Ahmadinejad being alive is. It's fucking Patrick Bet-David. He's saying that Ahmadinejad, the former president of Iran, has contacted him to let him know that he's still alive. Which is just intriguing, because it was reported that he was dead. Ahmadinejad was also a great poster on Twitter. He posted some very intriguing things. He posted something about like how he always has time to go on Twitter. So apparently he's not dead, according to Patrick Bet-David, and he wants to go on the podcast, maybe? Explosions hit Beirut. I just want to see if I can find his Twitter post where he says, I am very busy, but I always make time for Twitter. No, I can't find it. Ahmadinejad. Is it ready? Are they ready? My God. You got like, Trump, you got your veterans there. You respect the veterans, don't you? Country thought to only contact the most important Oh, there he is. Keg breath. So, okay, they must be starting. Did Ahmadinejad deny the Holocaust? You know, there's, by the way, funny Alika Labon law is Ahmadinejad Piruz Mushtahid Zadeh. I think there's a clip of Alika Labon's dad talking about how Ahmadinejad is like wrong to say the thing, but yeah, Yeah, hold on. I'll see if I can find it. Oh, wait. I've just found a new Piruz Mojtahedzadeh thing. This is Ali Kalabon's dad. Piruz Mojtahedzadeh also attacked Iran's ideological foreign policy and the performance of the foreign ministry, while former diplomat... Oh, it's kind of that. But yeah, there's like something where he talks about it and about the way he conducts himself. He said, why can't we question it nor study it? He did not deny it. He said, I don't know. Okay, fine. I mean, my main contention with that is there is as much evidence that it happened as the Second World War happened. So there's not really, like, much to... Of course, like, people can keep studying it if they want to. Like, fair enough. But simultaneously, like, there's not much that needs to be questioned about it. It happened, you know. Like, it happened, and millions of people were killed. The Germans did do those things. They did them, and it was very obvious that they were going to do it. Well, actually, they ramped up their anti-Semitism a lot. Also, I'm about to hit 45,000 subscribers, which is pretty crazy. Oh, wait, is Trump coming? Yeah, he must be. Look, this guy's bold gentleman's taking his photo. Transgender for everyone. That's what Trump's delivering here. This guy, he's getting transgendered the hell up. I like how it's got some quiet piano music. Wait, is he coming? Is he coming? There's two bold gentlemen entering the door. Two boldies. Not from someone who only saw the war from their side. Well, the point is that there is, like, a huge amount of books that will be translated into Farsi. Like, Hilberg's work is allegedly the best work on it. I haven't actually read all that much about it personally. It's not a genocide I'm an expert in. I've read some of the things that were produced by it. Like, that produced, like, the concept of genocide. Like, oh my god, Raphael Lemkin. I've read a bit of his work. Is he dead? Why is he so damn late? I think he's late because I don't think he's actually very well. I think it's pretty odd that they've only had, like, Hegseth and stuff appear today. They could have had Dan Kane and stuff appear yesterday, but I think they waited until Trump was ready to appear in person. I actually don't think Trump is capable of appearing every single day, because you're telling me, what, after the biggest military operation since 2001, really, they've just not bothered to bring out the president to justify it? But yeah, remains to be seen. Remains to be seen what we'll see next. I'm non-binary maxing, if that counts, in the Alphabet Mafia. Nope, that's stolen valor. You adore me. There's a video of locals approaching one of the... I really want to cover this Kuwait stuff, but I'm just, like, waiting for this to happen. Tel Aviv Stock Exchange posts its biggest daily gain since April 2020 against the backdrop of the war. I heard they were closing it, but I guess that wasn't true. Government spokesperson confirms the 4 Greek F-16 Vipers have just landed in Cyprus. Trump says he won't rule out sending US troops into Iran if necessary. I'm really waiting because there's a lot to say. Yeah, I'm Kuwaiting. Do picture-in-picture. No, I will cover it. It's just a case of, like, I've been sort of delaying because this was meant to start 45 minutes ago, and this is really, really significant, you know? Like, undeniably, this is hugely significant. Israel is, by the way, like, really, really heavily hitting... is really, really heavily hitting the Israel and the US are really, really heavily hitting Tehran.
With me and
also, by the way, just to keep this one, just to have this one, which needs to be played right now before we see Trump.
I will tell you, you're not going to have a war with me, and you're not going to have a third world war with me. That I can tell you.
You're not going to have a war with me. I think, by the way, Trump knows that the effects for Americans are going to be pretty minor, but I don't think Americans are going to still like that. Oh, so Palestinian Islamic Jihad says senior commander killed in Israel's Lebanon strikes. Adham al-Othman, 41, and described him as the commander of Al-Quds Brigade in the Lebanese arena, has been killed, apparently. Maybe there was one of those mythical assassination plots. Israeli army says people can leave shelters after reported Iranian attacks. Okay. Where is he? Hexeth's been here for like fucking 5 minutes. Yeah, this aged like milk. Yeah. Milk in the hot sun, even.
Armed forces to protect.
Also, by the way, a British politician has made a good point for the first time in a while.
Speaker, we rightly expect our brave armed forces to protect British citizens around the world in crises like this. But that includes tax exiles like Isabel Oakeshott and washed-up old footballers who mock ordinary people who stay in the UK and pay our taxes here. So as we protect them, does the Prime Minister agree it is only right for tax exiles to start paying taxes to fund our armed forces, just like the rest of us?
The only thing I like about this is, if we are doing it, force the people in Dubai to pay taxes. Force them now. Make the people in Dubai pay taxes. I don't know who the washed-up old footballer he's talking about. Probably Joey Barton if he lives there, but I don't think he does. Andrew Tate should be forced to pay UK taxes. Okay, so there's a video of a lady talking here who's in Iran. I can't really understand what she's saying because my Farsi isn't good enough. But like this, but this sounds, she's talking about people I know because she keeps saying Maradon. And I think she said Zidane, which means to hit. She's also not wearing a hijab. Oh, he is talking about Shelby, you're right. They killed all my people. They bombed them once. People went in to help. They bombed again. Oh, our youth, our youth. Terrifying. Trump's in, apparently.
Ladies and gentlemen, please bow with me as I ask God's blessings upon this ceremony. Almighty God, your steady hand has guided this republic for nearly 250 years. From its birth in the wilderness to this very hour, we come to you now with grateful hearts. We assemble here today to honor men who, when the test came, were steadfast and unmovable. We thank you for the unyielding conviction of Master Sergeant Roderick Edmonds, who looked evil in the eyes and did not flinch. And we thank you for the battlefield grit of Command Sergeant Major Terry Richardson, courage that saved lives in Vietnam and courage that stands before us today. And Lord, we thank you for Staff Sergeant Michael Allis, who, in a final selfless act, made his own body a shield for a friend. Bless the family and friends of these great men of honor, O Lord. and forbid that we leave this place as mere admirers of their heroic deeds. Plant in our hearts a measure of their courage.
Yeah, using God to justify the Epstein class's war against the evil, godless communists over in Iran.
Now let the light of liberty continue to shine on our great nation. We pray in the strong name of the one who guides us. This we'll defend. Amen.
Amazing Trump couldn't even keep his eyes closed at all.
Thank you very much, Chaplain Green. Wonderful job. Appreciate it. And thank everybody for being here, and please feel free to sit. So before we begin this important ceremony, and there's no ceremony that can be much more important than this, let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury. Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago, we warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed.
Once again, these are all really, really, really incoherent lies. Oh, we need to attack because they've got ballistic missiles that are threatening us. You attack them!
Overseas, the regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons. We were the ones that were complaining. We were the ones that wanted it stopped. But everybody was behind us. They just didn't have the courage to say so. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat to the Middle East, but also to the American people. Our country itself would be under threat, and it was very nearly under threat. I was very proud to have knocked out the Iran nuclear deal by President Barack Hussein Obama. That was a horrible, horrible, dangerous document. They would have had nuclear weapons 3 years ago. And
by the way, categorically untrue. They wouldn't have had nuclear weapons. They wouldn't have had nuclear weapons. It wouldn't have happened. But of course, you know, this guy will just tell you otherwise. And yeah, highly forbidden by us is an insane statement. You're not allowed to have them. We are allowed to have them.
They would have used them. But I'll not let that happen. For almost 47 years, this regime has been attacking the United States and killing Americans. Every time you see someone with missing arms and legs or a face that's been absolutely shattered violently, it was almost certainly caused by an Iran roadside bomb. They were put there by General Soleimani, who was the father of the roadside bomb. Very proudly, he thought.
By the way, that's not true, is it? Soleimani is not the father of the roadside bomb. Why does he keep saying that? Is it to make them seem a bigger threat? Because, like, an IED being used to, like, blow up soldiers, they did that years before Iraq. Like, what do you think the Irish were doing during the Irish Republican Army, the IRA were doing during when British were there? Remember Narrow Water?
But I terminated him in my first term. This was our last best chance to strike. what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister. Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their Navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon, never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that for...
Also, by the way, obviously, historically, the US is the far bigger sponsor of terror proxies. Right now, in terms of the consequences of proxies' actions, obviously, the UAE are far bigger in terms of the barbarity of their proxies who are engaged in larger scale terror, but, you know.
From the beginning, they're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders. And we thought we had a deal, but then they backed out. And they came back, and we thought we had a deal, and they backed out. I said, you can't deal with these people. You got to do it the right way.
But we've also seen, this is really contradictory, because we've also know that one of the reasons they carried out the attacks when they did was specifically to do with the fact that they knew where Khamenei was. The CIA gave it to Israel. Israel then carried out the bombing. Although now apparently it's being said that the US didn't know where he was.
Today we grieve for the 4 heroic American service members who have been killed in action, and send our love and support to their families. In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people, and a threat indeed it is.
He's got 2 teleprompters, doesn't he? Are there 2 teleprompters either side, and he's reading off each one?
We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or 2. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now, I guarantee you that, to go through what I had to go through. We also projected 4 weeks to terminate the military leadership, and as you know, that was done in about an hour, so we're ahead of schedule there by a lot. But please join me in thanking every American service member who bravely is standing in harm's way. They really are incredible, and I just...
He is definitely reading off a teleprompter. He's also saying that this is going to be... I don't know. I think a lot of this is quite made up. I think that this whole thing that they're like... I think that this whole thing of like what they're doing specifically pertains to being within a time frame. Their plan was to assassinate the leadership. That's what they begun with. It feels like that would be pretty odd not to include in your time frame as something that you were going to do at the start, if that's how you start your operation. But maybe this is like a longer term thing he's talking about.
I want to thank you. We have a lot of them right here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We have a lot of great service members here with us, too, in this beautiful building. Isn't it beautiful? We're adding on to the building a little bit. We're improving the building. See that nice drape? When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved.
Bro, what the fuck are you talking about? These stupid fucking drapes in the ballroom. It's like when Charlie Kirk died. You're at a this is this event for the 4 soldiers who died. Do you think that their families are like, yeah, thanks for telling us about how you're spending money and making drapes.
Curtains. But, and it'll be spectacular.
Here's how I'm paying. Imagine at your fucking funeral, like you get your I don't know, your like family member, your brother speaking, and he's like, you see my new car out there? We're going to make that even bigger. I'm going to get sick rims and a bumper, twin turbo exhaust, bro. I love that shit. Doesn't feel very respectful, does it?
The most beautiful ballroom. I believe it because I built many a ballroom. I believe it's going to be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. And when you hear all that hammering out there, you know why the First Lady is not thrilled exactly.
I reckon they just get him yacked up and he just starts talking whatever shit he wants because that's the only way he can keep his eyes open when this isn't some long-term pre-planned thing. Maybe the actual reason they struck Iran when they did was because he was a bit too sleepy and they needed to do it at that specific time.
She said, will the pile drivers ever stop? You know, they go from 6 in the morning till 11:30 in the evening. Can you imagine? Here? You know what? To me, that's a beautiful sound. She doesn't like it. I love it. You know what? To me, other than here, because we're donating it, not a penny to the taxpayer. It'll be under budget, ahead of schedule. It'll be $400 million or less. Most people say $400 million or more. No, it'll be less. But when I hear that sound, that beautiful sound behind me, it means money, so I like it. But my wife isn't thrilled. She said, this is getting crazy. I said, don't worry about it. We'll be all finished up in a few months. But now for the reason that we're gathered this morning to recognize the unsurpassed courage of 3 really...
Look at that. He can't even speak off a script at all at this point.
Incredible American heroes, 1 living and 2 no longer with us. So together, we recognize the exceptional valor of Master Sergeant Roderick Edmonds. And maybe I could ask your families to stand because they're beautiful families. I got to meet them. And please.
Yeah. Nixon, need a little break to just have a quick chat about the drapes. And now I'll say, your son died well for Epstein.
So Staff Sergeant Michael Ollis and Command Sergeant Major Terry Richardson, as they receive our nation's highest military award, the Congressional Medal of Honor. And we're pleased to be joined by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. He's busy, very busy guy. In fact, I said, if you want, Pete, you can avoid it. General Raisin Kane also, and they said, we don't avoid this one. This is one you wouldn't avoid for anything, right? So
I also can't wait until they have to do this with way more Americans if they put boots on the ground. Like, just sit here and just Trump's talking about fucking drapes whilst people's families are like, did my kid just die because you're a pedo and you didn't want the Epstein files coming out?
I appreciate that you're here. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, who's doing an incredible job, Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins. Doug, thank you. You stand up, Doug. You're doing such a good job. 92% approval rating.
I'm not gonna lie, this doesn't actually really seem like a man who's too upset by what's going on.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, who's known as Raisin Kane. I liked him when I heard that name, Raisin Kane. I said, if it's true, you're my guy. And it's true. It just turned out it's very true. He's a great guy and a great general. Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, and Army Chief of Staff, Randy George. Thank you. Thank you both, Dan. As well as Senators Tom Cotton, Bill Hagerty, You guys were great on television this weekend. I'll tell you what, can't have a better representative than both of you. Thank you very much. And Representatives Tim Burchett, Jack Bergman, and Nicole Malliotakis. And we have a few others sitting here, but I'm not going to go through it because we have far more important people to honor today. Oh, we have Tom Homan. I got to at least mention Tom Homan. I would be a stand-up, Tom. What a job. Zero people.
Raisin Cane is the nickname of Dan Kane. I don't know why he liked the nickname. Is Raisin Cane's like a thing Trump would like?
Coming in. We had millions and millions of people pouring into our country now that, I mean, I'm not even sure I can believe this number is zero, but it is given out by Democrats, or Democrats from the last, and they're rated for the last 9 months. We had 0 people come illegally through our border. Right, Tom? So I want to thank you very much. And I also want to salute 6 former Medal of Honor recipients: William Swenson, Jim McLuhan, Thomas Paine.
By the way, just a quick question for some of you who may have watched way more of this. Is it always standard practice? Is it always standard practice for American politicians to just not know the names of people that they're honoring and basically require a teleprompter to even remember the basic names of these people?
Sammy Davis, that's an interesting guy. Where is Sammy Davis? We have a big story here, Sammy. You've heard that all your life, I'll bet, huh? And Edward Byer, stand up, please. You all look good. We all look good. We remember the ceremonies. All great. It's a great honor. There's no greater. I tried for myself. I've tried numerous times to get one by myself. I keep getting shut down. They say, you can't do it, sir. Bad protocol. Very bad. I would say the worst. But I'm only kidding. You don't have to say I'm only kidding. Otherwise, the press will come out with it, which they actually did once. Donald Trump wants a Congressional Medal of Honor, but he's been shut down. But now you are brave, amazing people. And I want to thank you all. In 1941, Roddy Edmonds of Knoxville, Tennessee, enlisted in the U.S. Army and soon rose to one of the youngest master sergeants in the military. In 1944, he sailed to Europe to fight in World War II, and he was so enthusiastic and young and full of vim and vigor.
Wait, they're talking here about a guy who's recognized by Yad Vashem, I think?
Big one, massively outnumbered by enemy forces. His 1,200 soldier unit fought valiantly until they were completely overrun. The force was massive on the other side, many times the number. After a 4-day death march, one that was covered very well by the history books, through bitter cold, they were put into a German POW camp. Roddy was the top-ranking infantryman in the camp. He was number 1, meaning he was responsible.
Okay, you know what? For a U.S. soldier, this guy does actually sound kind of based, this Roddy Edmonds character. He said that apparently he said we are all Jews here in response to a German like trying to get him to get all the Jewish people to be shot from his unit. I don't actually think that he's going to be talking much more about Iran, unfortunately.
Lives of his fellow service members. On July 26, 1945, a Nazi SS officer issued an order over the camp loudspeaker, loud and strong. He said that only American Jews were to show up to roll call following this morning. He added, all who disobey this order will be shot immediately. There were more than 200 Jewish Americans.
I don't know if we'll see if he changes on this, but yeah.
Soldiers in the camp, and Roddy knew their separation from the group would mean certain death.
Pre-watch Kunstler. No, you know what? We don't need to carry on with this. It wasn't intriguing. It's just him talking about people getting Congressional Medals of Honor. We'll actually move on to the Kuwait stuff because that is far more interesting. Okay, so earlier today, if some of you haven't been keeping up with the Iran news, CENTCOM announced it started off with just one US F-15, but now the amount of F-15s, as it turned out, was 3 were shot down, which is kind of insane. Shooting down 3 F-15s is pretty outrageous. 3 US F-15s involved in friendly fire incident in Kuwait, pilots safe. At 11:03 p.m. Eastern Time, March 1st, 3 US F-15E Strike Eagles flying in support of Operation Epic Fury went down over Kuwait due to an apparent friendly fire incident. During active combat, that included attacks from Iranian aircraft. Iranian aircraft, by the way, is pretty crazy. Ballistic missiles and drones. The US Air Force fighter jets were mistakenly shot down by Kuwaiti air defense. All 6 aircrew ejected safely, have been safely recovered and are in stable condition. By the way, it looked like one of them got their fucking hand blown off. There was a pretty crazy photo of his hand looking quite messed up. How much is a US F-15E... So an F-15 Strike Eagle costs approximately, so Facebook is telling me that the F-15E is priced at, Grok is telling us that a cost per unit is $31 million, which adjusted to about, for 3, roughly $186 million. Obviously, that doesn't include their maintenance over years and years and years. But basically, 3 US planes got shot down, which is pretty unbelievable. There are some videos of it happening as well, if you haven't seen.
لا والله حربية طيارة حربية طيارة حربية شوف 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 شوف
Why didn't it explode when it hit the ground? What? Why? Why didn't that explode?
لا والله حربية طيارة حربية طيارة حربية شوف 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 شوف.
It is crazy how much money they are wasting that Kuwait has just fucking blown up. Really unbelievable. No worries, the taxes of working class will pay for your new F-15s. Yeah, exactly. Lindsey Graham will spend all your money on that rather than fix anything. There was some crazy videos, by the way. There was a video of just an American in the boot.
1 minute. لا لا شبه الدبة 1 minute 1 minute 1 minute.
Just crazy. Some random Kuwaiti guy putting him in the boot of the car. I don't know why they couldn't have put him in the back of the car. I really don't know why. There are other videos of these F-15s in trouble, by the way. This is apparently the moment it explodes in the air. That looks like something hitting it, right? Yeah, that looks like something hitting it in the back. I've seen the Su-24 claimed by Qatar. Look at that. That is crazy. There were other videos which I've lost, but hold on, I'll see if I can find it.
You're fine?
There are some other videos.
Fine? Really? You need something to help you? No problem, you're safe. You're safe. Everything good?
Fucking Kuwaitis, man. I would have, these guys, well, not all Kuwaitis are like this, but I would have just been like, oh, fuck you, you know, like, you know, fuck you. You are going so you can bomb and blow up innocent people in Iran.
No problem. Thank you for helping us. Everything perfect?
She looks surprisingly happy and fine for just being ejected out of an F-15. Maybe it's a conspiracy theory. There's another crazy image, which it's been posted a few times. Don't think it's AI. Like, does it look like AI? This guy has like a pipe and the American is just sat there. Really, really insane story, by the way. I want to see if I can find the other video of the F-15.
Online video verified by Reuters showed a U.S. on Monday. From the air, Kuwait had intercepted all 6.
I've not seen some of these videos. Reuters, please don't strike my video down.
Jets ejected from.
Look at this
CENTCOM
one.
said
So
all 6 jets ejected from the aircraft safely were recovered and are in stable condition. It said that Kuwait had acknowledged
I hadn't seen
the
these.
incident and that an investigation was underway. Kuwait had intercepted hostile drones earlier on the same day. In a separate incident, smoke was seen rising from the vicinity of the U.S. Embassy compound in Kuwait City.
Pretty wild. I didn't see the one of them parachuting out. I'm just checking if there's anything else that you can see. But there is, I haven't had a chance to read this. There's this one guy, and by the way, this guy kept saying Trump died, so I don't know how truthful he is. A lot of people follow him. Adam Cochran. The F-15 friendly fire claim is either a lie, or a US command failure, but something is off. After talking to experienced military sources, here's how we know the reporting is covering it up. Kuwait uses 3 types of air defense systems: Patriot, Improved Hawk, SHORAD. A SHORAD type air defense would not reliably take down an F-15. An Improved Hawk could hit an F-15, but because a Hawk requires constant radar illumination, the pilot would be alerted to the lock by radar detection, could deploy chaff, activate ECM, and take maneuvers against it. So a Hawk striking 3 plane is deeply unlikely. The Patriot system can reliably strike targets like an F-15, and so we know it's likely this was the system used. Patriot systems rely on multiple ID types to engage a target. Radar track behavior rules. It only shoots at things that act like a missile. IFF signature broadcast. Link 16, an integrated system for IDing friendlies in the airspace. Air tasking data. F-15 broadcast and IFF that the Patriot batteries can detect when the proper encryption key is shared with allies. Kuwaiti Patriot batteries support Link 16 integration with US data when properly shared. Our agreement with Kuwait to operate regionally requires sharing all airspace data. They are flying low. These are assuming it's at a high level. Okay. Maybe that's it. Friendly info is kind of unlikely. IFF would not target friendly. What is that? Yeah, but is the other argument that's just been made that because it's flying low, that's the reason? Cochran has said some stuff that isn't true, but I did see someone interesting repost this. In order for Kuwait to shoot with a Patriot friendly fire in one night would require, we didn't share IFF encryption keys or ID data with them, or were not broadcasting IFF. We did not share Link 16 data with them or Link 16 broadcast capabilities. We did not share air tasking orders with them. We did not share emergency alerts with them after the first ejection took place. 3 in a row is pretty crazy, by the way. I mean, it's similar incidents happened in 2003. Nothing crazy is going on. Oh, okay. Is 3 in one day not pretty wild? I mean, I don't doubt that the US loves hitting its own planes, because they got to find something to do, you know? The area was under extreme barrage of missiles, far more than reported. There was no AWACS data sharing or no higher level C2 node integration, or these were damaged. So either we made an operational decision to ignore our standard practice and leave an ally in the dark, not share data, or the Iranian attack was far more successful than the US let on and damaged critical ID and comms infrastructure. By the way, just to say, it is plausible that Iran has done quite considerable damage. I don't know if any of you have seen what's going on in Bahrain, but this is verified, by the way. Verified satellite imagery. Look at this. Look at that. It's not the entire base, but it's at least a sizable portion of the base just destroyed. And obviously, yes, this is in Bahrain. This is not in Kuwait. They are not the same place. But just have a look at that. These Gulf kingdoms are made of sand. It's just parking space for US tanks. Yeah, I know. The $1 billion radars in Qatar, by the way. This is the naval support activity Bahrain. By the way, Israel's Iron Dome and actually Israel's interceptors as a whole are much more reliant on like a multitude of different things as opposed to just like, you know, Israelis being epic. They rely on like these detection sites that help ensure that missiles are detected early so that the US government can ensure so they can ensure that Israel isn't struck, you know? They also hit a port in Dubai. I know they did, which was pretty crazy. Seems like they're trying to hit the radars. They did to the other bases as well. Yeah, and seemingly what they're trying to do is do it with cheap drones, these Shahed drones that can just carry out quite large strikes, send them over a very small, slow distance, and blow up a large amount of tech that prevents more advanced missiles going through and striking the because once again, look at this video. This is a US base getting hit today, and it's actually quite a funny video.
That's my fucking truck.
That's my fucking truck. I mean, they're still managing to hit Kuwait, so I don't know. Maybe Adam Cochran is totally wrong. Cochran, he's apparently a professor, a policy consultant, independent journalist, and father, trying to make the world suck less. I don't know. I don't know enough. I mean, Drac, it seems like you probably know more. Is 3 in 1 day unusual? The more they get through, the more reactive they set the systems to get themselves more lead time. Oh, okay. The USS Truman shot a US jet out of the sky and had another 2 jets fall overboard, lol, while they were being attacked by the Houthis. Acting like friendly fire isn't possible is silly. Yeah, definitely. I think it definitely is more than possible. The CENTCOM are posting this kind of stuff. He's not the most reliable, but sometimes has good analysis. Yeah, I thought that. I forgot about the jets falling off. The Iranian regime's false messaging machine continues to falsely claim that it has sunk a US aircraft carrier. The truth, the only carrier that has been hit is the Shahid Bagheri, an Iranian drone carrier. The US forces struck the ship within hours of launching Operation Epic Fury. By the way, this name doesn't even sound in any way cool. The only person who would find this cool is like an OSINT account on fucking Twitter. That is probably about it. But yeah, today seems to be a little slower, but obviously it remains to be seen. There's a long time left in the day. Apparently, this is now a video of an Iranian F-16 shooting down an Iranian drone. That's a Shahed drone over Syria. Fucking crazy. By the way, just to also talk about, Lebanon is looking like fucking, just looks like Gaza right now. Look at this video. I think this is in, I've forgotten where this was. But just hold on, I'll work it out in a second. Tyre, this is in Tyre. It's just crazy. It's crazy, by the way, as well, because I've seen some people who are kind of just like, well, this is the Houthis' own, the Hezbollah's own fault. Hezbollah have got involved. They've brought this on all of...
It is utterly ridiculous.
They've brought this on all of Lebanon. Israel was planning this. They were carrying out mass bombardment of Lebanon throughout the ceasefire. It was an untenable status quo. So what do you expect? Also, actually, apparently the US Embassy in Kuwait has now been hit by a drone. Do we know how many Americans have been sacrificed for Israel's war? 4 so far is the amount that they're confirming. Thanks for the £5 5 quid. Thanks for the 5 quid, mate. But yeah, apparently it's only 4 Americans killed, about 5 seriously wounded, I think. 1 has already succumbed to their injuries, which is what brought it up from 3 to 5. The number of casualties could be slightly higher. Do you really think that Israel... do you really think that Israel could, and America run out in 5 days? An attack on the US Embassy in Kuwait appeared to have been conducted using an unmanned aerial vehicle. By the way, the fact that they haven't been able to prevent these drones 5 days in is pretty wild. It's pretty fucking wild that this has already been a week of this and it's just still not managed to stop it. Also, there was some Sky News thing I wanted to watch. Did I save it? Hold on, I just want to see the Sky News thing. Sky News is telling me about VAR. I think it's probably more important that I look at other things right now. Okay, this is the Sky News military analyst. Not exactly the greatest source, but let's have a look.
Reported that over Kuwaiti airspace, 3 F-15s, American Strike Eagle aircraft, have all been shot down by friendly fire. That's not unusual in these sorts of situations, but it is a bit of a blow to the US Air Force and actually its command system. So how might it have happened? The circumstances in which this happened, we don't know too much about, but it was in the middle of an attack by Iranian ballistic missiles and Iranian drones, so there have been a lot of things in the sky. On the other hand, it shouldn't happen because all air movements on the American side are controlled at Al Udeid in Doha by the CAOC, with the Combined Air Operations Center. And it's the CAOC.
It's pretty obvious why they went so heavily over Qatar. And also, by the way, why also is the clear reason that they're attacking them, you know? Why they're going after them. It's pretty obvious why they're going after them.
Job to know exactly where things are, where friendly aircraft and missiles may be, and where incoming missiles, drones, aircraft might be. And the CAOC in Al Udeid in Doha is less than 300 miles away from the Kuwaiti border, so it wasn't even far away. Undoubtedly, this is some sort of software problem. I don't think we should be looking for human error or operators or Kuwaiti operators who panicked and shot down the wrong target. That's certainly...
Guys, please don't be racist to Kuwaitis. Please don't claim that they're incapable of operating.
Shouldn't happen. The system should prevent an operator making that sort of error by not allowing him or her to target something that is designated as a friendly aircraft. But there it is. The Americans have lost 3 F-15s in what's usually known as a blue-on-blue incident. You know, the enemy are red, the friendly forces are blue, so blue-on-blue is when you shoot down your own aircraft.
Wow, thanks. Now I know that I gotta say blue on blue to impress the chat. Guys, this was a blue on blue incident. Do you like my military analysis? Also, by the way, apparently UAE and Qatar have, according to Bloomberg, I'm not pulling up this article because it won't work with... It won't work, but apparently the UAE and Qatar are telling Trump to find an off-ramp.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Anyone want to buy a slightly used F-15? They're going down cheap. Okay, bro, I'm quite interested. UAE, yeah, but UAE and Qatar. By the way, Iran has made this point that I spoke about earlier, this incredibly clear point. Iran is going to hit energy infrastructure. They are not at all fearful about hitting energy infrastructure. You cannot stop it. You are not going to be able to prevent it unless you move in even more assets and spend even more money and basically do a boots on the ground operation to depose the regime. They are going to keep on airstriking keep on drone striking, keep on missiling infrastructure that is close to them, which is going to pressure the international markets, which is going to pressure unpopular regimes in Western society. So much of the Chinese oil comes from Iran. Yep, I mean, yep, it is. It is. They've been hitting it sometimes earlier. It takes months to replace the parts on a power station. I'm guessing this, by the way, because I think you can make quite educated guesses. Lots of energy infrastructure has been shut down. Is that because if energy infrastructure is offline and it gets hit, it means that it doesn't take as much damage? But also, Thomas, thank you for your donation. Sorry, I laughed at your joke rather than thanking you. Thanks for the 5,500 Chilean pesos. Thanks for supporting the channel. And good to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a little bit. It takes months to replace parts of power stations. Sorry, I just read that. Yes. You're my favorite white boy. Thank you. Maybe to prevent explosions. What if it's offline? It doesn't make it. Okay, cool. It's 15% of Chinese say they'll make Chinese quicken the building of nuclear power plants. Yeah, and also green energy. China's already China has more than enough solar panels to bring about net zero. But China's electrification is... Obviously, China is fucking huge and has a huge amount of people. Also, by the way, apparently, Iran is now launching strikes at maritime targets. So, maybe they're trying to hit US, maybe they're trying to hit US boats in the region. Iran has launched new strikes on maritime... Well, obviously that is what they are, according to state media Tasnim. So that remains to be seen how that unfolds. Also, sorry, actually, something we do need to cover is Trump's second speech. I'd kind of forgotten about this. Sorry, Trump has given his second speech. Let's ask Pakistanis. Their grid is always in loads of shedding. Are you talking about their energy grid? Iran chased the carrier away. What, the Iranian carrier? Sorry, the American carrier?
Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation...
I guess, actually, even if it's not a risk, sorry, excuse me, to the thing being on and increased damage, it would obviously be a risk to the people who operate them.
An epic fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader,
utterly ridiculous.
Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and...
By the way, the amount of cuts in a video like this, a pre-recorded video, and bad cuts is pretty wild. Have British/Northern... Well, they've insinuated that they're already in the region. They're talking more about protecting the Gulf. I don't know what's going on with this video. Just watch this again.
Khamenei is dead. This wretched and vile man...
That's a pretty bad cut.
...had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there.
By the way, even for like a pre-written speech, this is kind of a bit incoherent and badly written. Did all of the speechwriters get killed?
It is utterly ridiculous.
We're so strong. We only shoot down our own. That's how powerful they are. They have to take out their own drones to make it. Their own jets to make it fair.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Thank you for the donation. Have some Kuwaiti oil money, comrade. Keep it up, Habibi. Thank you, Sour Vibes. Thank you for the $5 and the incredibly kind donation. Thank you to Thomas as well. Thanks for making streaming possible.
Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And said,
is this really the best take you could get where he's just not really speaking very well?
There will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization.
It's really interesting as well, choosing to repeat this. They've waged war against civilization. I'm going to say it, bro. I think you guys have waged far more war against civilized society and have degraded societies to the point of civil wars much more and have altered civilizations in countries with disastrous effects for decades.
It is utterly ridiculous.
A guy sounds envious, bloodthirstiness there. Yeah, I mean, he is... yeah, thank you for the donation, Thomas. This guy is fucking crazy. This guy is genuinely insane. He is someone who is literally sat here, who is going, oh, they've waged war against civilization. This is Orientalist. This is, by the way, why you need to address this Orientalist shit. Why it is some of the most important... why it is some of the most important things that you should be up to. Because... when it comes to, like, inflating Iran to this, like, global menace that is responsible for everything wrong in the Middle East, it is a lie that will not fix the MENA region. It is a lie premised on the the prevailing status quo and sustaining American imperial dominance in the region.
Our resolve, and likewise that of Israel, has never been stronger. America is now, again, the richest, most powerful nation in the world by far. But the only reason we enjoy the quality of life that we do and the freedom and security is we have done things that others are unable to do. But it's because of warriors who are willing to lay down their lives to do battle with our enemies.
Yeah, America has caused the most death in the 21st century. And by the way, what was the bloodiest continent in the 20th century? I don't remember. And who caused those wars? I don't know. Oh wait, it was the Europeans. It was obviously the most bloody continent. Spilled blood all over the entire world. No wars that came after really compared to that in terms of scale of death, the combined of the First and Second World War, waged entirely by Europeans.
And they do battle better than anybody. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons that would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen. We're not happening to us, and we're not.
What? How is this speech so incoherent? This is pre-written. You're saying he's unhinged, but like this was written for him to speak and read and to be edited. Why is it written like this? Because he's clearly still reading these bits off.
Not going to let it happen to others. The United States has the strongest military the world has ever seen. I rebuilt our military in my first term. There's never been a military like we possess. And frankly, there's nobody even close, but we are now using that military for good. We want to have it for good purpose.
What is this? Why do you need to repeat that? We want to do this for good purpose. We need military good. We have good military. Good.
We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. These actions are right and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats. For almost 50 years, these wicked extremists have been attacking the United States while chanting the slogan, "Death to America," or "Death to Israel," or both.
So what, bro? You're an American. Who gives a shit if they're chanting "Death to Israel"? That's a foreign country. Who cares? Why are you sat here giving your like a major speech about what's going on? Why your country's just done that? Why? Why are you sat here explaining about how they chant "Death to Israel"? Who cares?
They are the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. We are the world's greatest and most powerful nation, so we can do something about what they do. These intolerable threats will not continue any longer. I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death. Won't be pretty. I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you.
How do they take back the country, by the way? How do they do that? What happens? Who's going to do that? Because there's a New York Times interview where Trump gives no clear explanation.
It is utterly ridiculous.
But one thing I will say is that during this kind of stuff, during this, they have this new mantra of don't give away any information. Hold on. Okay, to be fair, guys, I'm doing a wartime president bit, like W. This guy is doing wartime president bit, like W. What does that mean, Thomas? Guy missed the chance to say Persian. What do you mean by that? Wait. Thank you for the donation, but what do you mean by that? I'm not sure I quite understood that.
I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you, but we'll be there to help. Thank you. God bless you to our incredible warriors, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Wait, you mean the George Bush one that's like our enemies don't stop trying to undermine us, and our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we. I do know it. I know the quote you're talking about. And thank you for the donation, by the way. I know what you're talking about already. I don't know. Is there a video of it? He's trying to fashion himself as serious, like, dubia. 2 more years left of this orange clown. It's 3 more years, isn't it? No? Is that not, it's only 30 seconds. I can't find a video of it. I can only find a Goodreads. I can only find, like, a video of the quote. A comment of the, Oh, Bush makes verbal slip on Homeland Security. Oh, problem is it's AP, and AP copyright you.
Rumsfeld. Fighting a new kind of war against a different kind of enemy. They've helped to launch the nations of Iraq and Afghanistan on the path to lasting democracy and liberty. Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
Such an amazing slip. Does he correct it?
We must never stop thinking.
No, he doesn't. The show must go on, eh? Crazy. Also, you may have unlimited more years of Trump. He may be there forever, by the way. I think that's something you're going to have to accept. Trump may never go away. Him and Charlie Kirk cyborgs will rule over you forever. So I'm just looking into, a couple of you people have noted and mentioned this. So the Qatari Ministry of Defense is now claiming to also have shot down planes. The Ministry of Defense, they also shot down 2 Su-24. Okay, anyway. The Ministry of Defense of the State of Qatar announces that thanks to Allah the Almighty first and to the high level of readiness and joint coordination among the relevant authorities, Qatar Emiri Air Force successfully shot down 2 Su-24 aircraft coming from the Islamic Republic of Iran. They also successfully intercepted 7 ballistic missiles through air defense and intercepted 5 drones by Qatar Emiri Air Force and Qatar Emiri Navy forces, which targeted several areas in the state today. The ministry affirms that the threat was addressed immediately upon detection in accordance with the operational plan, as all missiles were shot down before reaching their target. So, the ministry affirms that, the ministry further emphasizes that the Qatar armed forces possess full capabilities and resources. So there's not actually that much explanation about this. There's no videos of this happening. Maybe it wasn't quite as spectacular, so no one was as interested in the previous one. What is an Su-24 a Russian-made jet? It is, isn't it? I think Sky News talked about it.
Ravi, once again, here in Doha, who can tell us more about that?
Iran definitely has them. I'd be surprised if they were able to get them up, though. I don't know. Sukhoi. Did you just make me say something dodgy? President Carlson. Says it's shot there. I can't wait for that.
Harris, I do want to start with some...
Let's see what Fox News have to say.
Breaking news. We've learned from Qatar's defense ministry the country shot down 2 Iranian jets that entered their airspace. We know that they've been receiving attacks from the Iranians, and they have been taking action not only now to shoot down jets, but also incoming ballistic missiles. The Qataris have also ceased production of liquefied natural gas in their country for the first time in 30 years over these attacks. This comes as the war is expanding overnight. The Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah launching rockets into northern Israel. The Israelis responded with airstrikes against Beirut. You can see this smoke billowing from the Dahya neighborhood of southern Beirut. As this is taking place, we know the Lebanese prime minister is...
I like how Hezbollah fired some missiles last night and then they just haven't done anything since.
Calling on Hezbollah to stop the fire, but so far the Israelis say they have to keep the pressure up on this Iran-backed organization to discourage other proxies from joining into the fight. Throughout the day across Israel, Iranian ballistic missiles have soared through the skies of this country. We watched as some of them were intercepted in the skies above. One missile, though, slamming into the southern city of Beersheba, where officials say at least 10 Israelis were wounded and taken to local hospitals. Israel's prime minister speaking today from one missile impact site, warning the Iranians if they continue this fire, they'll get hit hard in the capital of Tehran. And Harris, again, we do expect the coordination to continue at the highest level between the Israelis and the Americans. But with these Gulf countries taking direct fire from the Iranian regime, this conflict...
By the way, I don't think the Gulf countries are going to strike Iran because they have nothing to add and only relations to sour and to increase Iran's desire to attack infrastructure. Like, what can they add to the American strikes? Did they just use American weapons? They all just use... American weapons anyway. What, add some more American weapons to do a bombing? I don't know. They can't really join and add more. Yeah, they can maybe be more aggressive in their defense, but I don't know. I don't know. Chris reads so fast he sounds like a Welsh village. You're not wrong, Thomas. Thank you for the 2200. I've just got so much going on.
Is expanding. Harris?
Yeah.
Did he say Gulf countries or did I say Gulf countries?
I wrote down what you said from the Qataris and the natural gas. Talk to me a little bit more about that if you can. I mean, Iran obviously has been getting some critical infrastructure type items from these countries that now it's firing upon almost indiscriminately. It makes no sense.
Absolutely, and it is a significant.
Also, by the way, this obviously does have a sense and a logic. The sense and the logic is, the sense and the logic of what they're doing is, the sense and the logic of what they're doing is they're trying to use what they have, which is to threaten the flow of natural gas, natural resources, oil, and all of this stuff in the region. That's what they're doing. That's why they're doing it, and because these places host U.S. bases. Like, in the previous thing that we saw, we just saw, we literally just saw a military analyst be like, sorry. We just saw that there was We just saw a military analyst basically explaining how important Aludide Air Base was for intercepting missiles. What do you think the point of it is for? What do you think the point of it is for? Like, why do you think that they host these bases?
Threat not just to these Gulf countries, but also to U.S. investments in the Gulf. We have seen the Iranians systematically trying to target energy infrastructure, not just in Qatar, but also in Saudi Arabia and in Kuwait. Gulf countries like the United Arab Emirates also taking direct fire. You saw those images of a drone slamming into the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building. Yeah. And so this is a conflict that is expanding, but it also has a lot of different aspects to it. The Iranians, while they're firing these medium-range ballistic missiles at Israel, they're using some of the shorter-range missiles to target Gulf countries, along with cruise.
He does actually keep saying Gulf countries. Now you've said it, I can't get it out of my head.
Missiles and drones, but the fact that they sent these Su-24 tactical bombers to try and hit Qatar is a significant escalation. And again, we can report at this hour that according to Qatar's defense ministry, both of these jets were shot down.
Wow. And when you talk about, you know, those areas in Dubai, like the Burj, I mean, it's actually in a shopping mall. I've been there. That's an epicenter of where people go. And you do have Americans, but we've been warned not to go to those places right now. I don't know what it's like on the ground for the citizens in the UAE right now.
Wow, you've been to the Burj Khalifa. You know I see you know the region well. Guys, quickly, I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Al Jazeera.
And people
I don't know what they're up to. This guy's in West Jerusalem, so let's see what he's saying. But anyway, I'll just put this on, so I'll be back in like a second.
Exactly a regime change. You know, as Secretary Hegseth just said in the live press conference, you know, after June, when the nuclear capabilities were pretty much destroyed, they said to the Iranians, it's destroyed, now let's make a deal. Let's make a deal. They could have stayed in power. All they had to do was make a deal, and they were given chance after chance after chance, including last week and the week before, to come make a deal. And there would be no talk of regime change, and none of this would have happened.
How do you respond to that, Rami?
Well, I disagree with most of it, but it is a very accurate reflection of Israeli government views, which reflect the right-wing Messianic militant majority that now seems to dominate Israel, which is supported by the American right-wing government. So the deal, I think making deals is good. We should definitely make deals between Israel and all the Arab countries and Iran, but any deal has to serve the legitimate rights and interests of both sides. We can't have, when you go in and bomb somebody and destroy them and try to bring them to their knees and then make a deal, that's not a deal. That's colonial subjugation, and we've done that. We've experienced that for hundreds and hundreds of years, and the Iranians have suffered under colonial manipulation for many years. The Israelis and the Americans, by the way, for the last 75 years or so, have prevented two people in the region mainly from practicing their self-determination to live in their own system. The Israelis have hit it, and the Americans have done it to Iran, and they've done it to the Palestinians. And that's why Palestinians and Iranians today are the two groups that most vehemently resist Israel and the U.S. But this all can be resolved through negotiations, but only if the negotiations legitimately address the rights of both sides. And this is what Israel has refused to do. Israel has always put its own security as the priority, and if its security is assured and guaranteed, then the Israelis will give something to the other side. They've done this, they've tried this in other places with the Palestinians, for instance, with Oslo and other things. And look what they've got. They've got now a rampant annexation in the West Bank and a genocide in Gaza. So people don't trust the Israelis or the Americans now to keep their word. And this is why it's so critical to get some really serious mediation internationally.
What's this gentleman up to?
Is the ideal, and we should all work for that. This constant warfare.
Yeah.
I'm 77 years old. I was born in 48. I've lived with this all my life. I'd rather have a normal relationship, and it can be done if the Israelis accept that, which they don't.
Alon, could the first impact on the Israeli body politic be the upcoming election, which could see this war actually help the incumbent Benjamin Netanyahu?
What do you mean Epstein called this?
Or to seriously assess that. There's no question.
Epstein spent a lot of time around quite powerful and senior figures in Gulf politics. It doesn't surprise me he predicted this, sorry.
In Israel's history, that is October 7, 2023, and somehow engineer or manipulate reality, geopolitics, and turning that debacle into some kind of a strategic triumph via defeating Iran. I understand the logic of that. Whether or not that would translate into electoral benefits or gains remains to be seen. There's no election date right now. Supposedly, legally, it is scheduled.
Do you know what's really funny as well? Netanyahu began on failure, and the reason that he began on failure was failing to deal with Hezbollah and Hamas. There's one particular day where Hamas and Hezbollah carry out very big attacks against him during his first term. That's why he's left. So I think that this is also like a personal revenge mission to prove that he can finally be the Israeli to defeat the main enemies. And yeah, sorry, it's just my throat. I just had a frog in it.
Said of this program, this show. We all know how wars begin, and we can all analyze and see clearly what the absolute interests and benefits of each side, but we have zero idea how they evolve. We have no idea how bad things can get, or for that matter, how quickly positive they can turn. I don't know. I think it really is premature to assess any political implications.
Rami, is the worst case scenario for Israel essentially a regime change in the sense that you get an even more emboldened regime, perhaps one which is run by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the IRGC?
That would definitely be something that Israel would not want, but we essentially have that now. I mean, you can't get much more emboldened than the government that has existed in Iran since 1979. But the idea of totally removing the Islamic government concept and replacing it with something milder is a little bit naive, I think. The majority of Iranians would like to have a better government, a more efficient government, a less corrupt government, and less autocratic government. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, the Iranians have lived over the last century with a lot of foreign manipulation from from Russians, from Americans, from British, from Israelis, and they're fed up with.
I mean, Epstein and Trump, by the way, had personal beef, but obviously, yeah, Trump was never. I think most people would have said that Trump was always never really interested in peace. By the way, I actually think something really, really consequential is currently happening, which is it's pretty evident that the US has no idea what to do. That maybe all part of this is casting ambiguity. But we've seen a ton of articles come out recently. So the first one I want to talk about is this, and then we'll talk about Hegseth speaking the other day. Sorry. We've been talking about this. So this article, US troops killed amid Iranian counterattack, fueling air defense fears. Now, this has one that part that people have wanted to quote. Inside the Pentagon, and among some members of the Trump administration, there was deepening concern Sunday that the Iran conflict could spiral out of control, said people familiar with the situation. The mood here is intense and paranoid, one person said. There is anxiety among some senior leaders that the fighting will extend for weeks, further stressing limited US air defense stockpiles, people familiar with the situation said. There is concern about this lasting more than a few days, said another person. I don't think people have fully absorbed yet, like what that has done with stockpiles. They added, noting that it often takes 2 or 3 air defense interceptors to ensure that an incoming missile is stopped. By the way, once again, this is like evident logic. By the end of the 12-day war, that's when we saw some of the biggest attacks during the 12-day war, and those huge attacks were those huge attacks that came in were carried out by smaller and smaller amounts of missiles with more consequence. Looks like it means there's no air superiority over neighboring countries. Yeah, and I mean air superiority over Iran. They probably can achieve it, by the way. The US and Israel have unlimited bombs, but it's, can you stop every single missile launch? Can you stop every single time that there will be a drone launch that will go and hit something in the Gulf? Can you prevent the Houthis carrying out an attack on a Saudi oil facility? Is that something that you can always do? No, it's not. Can you prevent Hezbollah potentially engaging in like a final sort of stand with large amounts of drone warfare that does penetrate to Israel whilst they're hyper-fixated on preventing missiles going in? No, I don't think you can guarantee that. And I think the hard truth is that the US and Israel, we saw this before, by the way, of them having huge amounts of munitions being, the munitions stockpiles being depleted, and then, more significant attacks. And the passivity of Iran made them not rush to replace those munitions. Exactly. Iran was very passive. I remember thinking, I was like, God, the tweet by Zay Squirrel where they were like, Zay Squirrel was like, Zay Squirrel was like, oh, if Iran doesn't do something, they'll kill Khamenei. And then they did. But maybe the killing of Khamenei was something that most in Iran accepted, was like, he's a very old man. And they thought it would come, maybe not at the exact point, but yeah. Also, the reason, I know we just watched this, but I think it's worth putting up in this context of the idea that things are starting to become less clear. Have a listen to this again.
And we have, right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks. But we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now, I guarantee you that, to go through what I had to go through. And we have
Look, him saying that this is going to last longer is Europe's worst nightmare. Prices of gas are going to go up massively. Oh my goodness. Yet more proof of this. Holy... the IRGC... have attacked an oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. The Athanova, which is, I think, an Emirati-flagged one, is still on fire after being hit by 2 drones. You get air superiority, what happens? They're still going to drive oil prices up, and there are going to be huge problems in Europe. They don't... This is what the blowback was. By the way, I've spoken about this I've spoken about this in my, any time I've spoken about Iran. I'm sure even when I did the podcast with Isaac recently, when I was like, look, whatever happens with Iran, too many of these fucking, like, Western, pro-West, OSINT accounts are like, US is gonna blow everyone up because they have billion aircraft carriers. Yeah, sure, you can do a lot of blowing up, but the Houthis haven't even got a navy, and they blockaded the Red Sea. Put Iran in a corner, and look what it'll do. It will cripple energy infrastructure to pressure Europe and the Gulf countries to then pressure the US. This is just a really, really, like, difficult situation. But then, where it gets complex is, there's another article, This article by the New York Times is also interesting. Trump says war could last weeks and offers contradictory visions of new regimes. Now, I think something worth saying that I do feel is worth noting is we have to read these as a lot of these are basically Western propaganda institutes. We've seen it, institutions for Western propaganda. They do occasionally do decent reporting, but Palestine has shown, you know, and so many other examples have, that these are institutions for Western propaganda. That's what it is. And Trump and Hegseth like to show off this thing about how they're doing misdirections. And the best example of this is recently, Hegseth talked about this.
Hold on X that forecasts or tries to forecast military action based on how busy the pizza places are around the Pentagon. Next time there's going to be an airstrike, have you guys thought about maybe just going to the cafeteria?
I'm aware of that account. I haven't thought of just going to the cafeteria. I've thought of just ordering lots of pizza on random nights, just to throw everybody off. Some Friday night when you see a bunch of Domino's orders, it might just be me on an app throwing the whole system off. So
they really like doing this, and I think they see phone calls with anything that they get the opportunity to. They see it as a means to throw people off, and they feel really smart about it. And I think they know that there's this general incoherence of the Trump administration that's makes it really difficult to know what's actually going to happen.
Keep everybody off balance. Trust me, we look at every indicator. There's a reason Midnight Hammer worked. Because we understood open source, we understood classified ways in which the public and others are trying to watch movements, and in sensitive ways we controlled for a lot of that in ways that only the U.S. government can do it. I mean, President Trump says this all the time. There's only one military that can do what we do, which is why it's such a solemn responsibility for me to make sure the leaders this military have are leaders they deserve.
There's an account on...
So... Those like the pizza thing is obviously like a difficult way to kind of just work out what's necessarily...
It is utterly ridiculous.
What's necessarily going on. Like, it's obviously just like a bit of a meme in some ways. But also, I think the point is they're just like, oh, we monitor everything and we love the misdirection thing. Oh, believe me, it's not just about trying to sound smart more, AI. This is also about making himself and his gang feel smart. Mind the fact that the attack happened once Wall Street closed. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I thought this time they were going to do a misdirect by attacking not on a weekend and attacking when markets were open. Yeah. But thanks for the 5,500 pesos, Thomas. Thanks as always for supporting. We understood OSINT. I think he's talking about like the cult of OSINT on X. So, hold on. In this phone call with Trump, there are some pretty crazy ones. So there's obviously, he said the same thing that it was going to take 4 to 5 weeks if necessary, and that it won't be difficult. Maduro. So... Trump talked about here, the president offered a variety of inconsistent visions of a new government that could take shape after the targeted killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. who ruled the country for more than 3 decades until he was killed by an airstrike on Sunday. When pressed on his plans for a transition of power, Trump said he hoped Iran's elite military forces, including hardened officers of the IRGC, who have held substantial influence and profited from the existing regime, would simply turn over their weapons to the Iranian populace. They would really surrender to the people, if you think about it. By the way, as well, there are actually a multitude of other reasons that the Shah's military collapsed. The Shah was such a paranoid freak, and he thought that any person gaining influence would be a threat to him. So one of the tricks he pulled was putting one guy in one military position who had like a personal, long-standing grudge against another guy who was then, another military leader or another figure. He'd regularly, push down people who were actually loyal to him, but he thought weren't loyal to him. And so he created like an incoherency due to his huge amount of paranoia. And I haven't necessarily seen something being said that's the same for the IRGC. And also, probably, the IRGC and the Iranian government more generally are not as much of a one-man rule as the Shah was. The Shah people were scared to tell the Shah bad news. The fact that he had cancer was kind of kept from him. Like, they just told him, oh, you're sick, but they didn't tell him fully what he's had. His wife didn't know for ages. Why would he be so paranoid? Was it because he was effing over the country for the West? Actually, he kind of got upset with the West. He said that he wanted to be treated like a wife, not a concubine. And yeah, he wanted to be treated like a wife, not a concubine. And he basically was just some guy who didn't really understand Iran. Like, as Tehran was expanding, there were more and more people moving there who were previously from villages who were really religious. And then they go to Tehran, right? And they're really poor. And they see Western opulence, like all these people from the West. There was actually a huge expat community there. And a lot of people start thinking, oh shit, like being un-Islamic and living in opulence is a really, really bad thing. Like, it's a really, really bad thing. And the two become associated together, and people view the westernization of the country as symptomatic of the decline that they're experiencing, which wasn't necessarily always entirely true, but yeah, a lot of young men started to become very opposed to him because of it. The Shah was, like, really insane, by the way. He was like a crazy character. You should look into him. He was just nervous and pathetic. There was one time where his wife and like one of his senior figures thought they were gonna die because he couldn't land a plane, and he missed it 3 or 4 times landing it, and then eventually he got it. And yeah, there were assassination attempts on him as well. Yeah, you're right about that. And he blamed the British. He said that the British kept trying to assassinate him, which wasn't true. He said the British were working with communists to assassinate him. He thought that he was going to be brought down by a British communist leftist plot, but actually he was brought down by an Islamic revolution. Also, by the way, the Shah wasn't inbred because there was not enough time for him to become inbred. It's not like it's not a real monarchy. Like, it's not, sorry, well, it was a real monarchy, but the Shah was not in power. Pahlavi's not even his real name. They changed their name to give them more legitimacy. His great-grandfather was just basically put into power by the British. I mean, he was pretty insane. He was evidently pretty insane. The fact that people didn't feel confident in telling him that he was, the fact that the people that wouldn't tell him that he was ill or that there were things going wrong was wild. I don't know, I think it is pretty crazy when you have a huge secret police and you start thinking that you're going to be killed, and that you're being plotted on by British communists. Even, by the way, I think the British ambassador at the time was pretty perplexed by the Shah and what he thought about and some of the decisions that he was making. Well worth rereading. Then he offered a very, to go back to Trump. What we did in Venezuela, I think, is the perfect scenario. Mr. Trump said. Yeah, I mean, also, right, what I'm saying is, like, Pahlavi is not like the, European royals that had, like, a long-standing history. They were a monarchy that took over from the Qajar dynasty. Like, they were a monarchy that took over from the Qajar dynasty. He changed his name. And what do you think is liberal analysis? Wait, what do you think is liberal analysis? The Shah went somewhat mad with power and oil money. It's something that I find to be a convincing explanation of his character. Anyway, what we did in Venezuela, I think, is the perfect scenario, Mr. Trump said. His answer implied that what worked in Venezuela would work in Iran, a nation with about 3 times the population and a military and clerical leadership that has ruled with increasing repression since 1979. Over the past several weeks, Mr. Trump has repeatedly brought up Venezuela as the model of successful operation and hoped to replicate aspects of it in Iran, identifying leadership that would be more cooperative and friendly to the United States. But he has been told by his advisors that the vast differences in cultures and histories make it virtually impossible to apply the strategy used in Venezuela, in which the existing government was kept in place after it agreed to take instructions from Washington and try to replicate it in Tehran. Nonetheless, Mr. Trump appears enamored of using a Venezuela-like model in Iran. Everyone's kept their job except for 2 people, Mr. Trump said, of the outcome in Venezuela. He's very happy about that, by the way. Apparently Lonabox may be going on H3 later. Wonderful. Of course he is. Lonabox is their favourite person to bring on for prescient and brilliant analysis on joins in talking. Oh my god, he is going on H3 later. Oh, that will produce some gold. Wait, what Moray, what are you talking about? The secret police was set up and developed mostly under the Shah by the CIA. What are you talking about? The Savak was set up under him. It was developed massively under Pahlavi. Under Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. That's categorically true. It wasn't his father's thing. It was set up and developed by the CIA under him. I think Norman Schwarzkopf, whose son actually played a big role in bombing Iraq. Is H3 still doing the liberal Zionist shit? I can only imagine. If it wasn't so busy and it wasn't probably like I need to report on the news, H3 is going to be producing some fucking gold tonight. I guarantee you. Some of the shit he'll be saying with Lonabox will be going on to give him an explanation as to how you can justify supporting the bombing of Iran. I don't know if Lonabox is supporting the war on Iran. It wouldn't surprise me if he is supporting the war on Iran. But yeah, he'll be giving him an explanation of how to defend it. He talks with Lonabox all the time anyway. It's probably to get his information, I would assume. And because Destiny's off limits, because Destiny keeps calling him a pedo. Anyway, I really need to get back to this. I've been faffing around. This clip, Ethan's Basement, is going to have a hell of a time editing this. He was vague on the question of who should be in the top ruling position in Iran after the Ayatollah's death. or even who should decide. At first, when asked whom he wanted to lead Iran, he said, "I have 3 very good choices," he added. "I won't be revealing them now. Let's get the job done first." But then he described a scenario in which the Iranian government would overthrow the existing government. That's going to be set up to them about whether or not they do, Mr. Trump said. They've been talking about it for years, so now they'll obviously have an opportunity. That would, of course, be the opposite of the Venezuela model. I think they're just pointing out genuinely how incoherent this is. How genuinely incoherent this is as a position of, like, talking about whether, you know, you should or, talking about, like, how you should, excuse me, there's going to be whether or not they do. Talking about, like, first of all, doing regime change and then not doing regime change. Mr. Trump said he did not think the Arab states in the Persian Gulf were needed to join in striking Iran, even though Tehran has targeted many of them and Israel with retaliatory missile and drone strikes. To meet with the generals, 3 is too many. If you look at the projections, they do projections. It could be quite a bit higher. We expect casualties, he added. But yeah, he's then talking about the country had been very substantially weakened, to put it mildly. It's interesting. It's interesting. By the way, also, quickly to just mention one thing on H3. H3 could pull on like a major, like libbed out, serious academic or historian on Iran who would say the things he wanted to. Choosing Loner Box is just a questionable choice. I don't really know why he does. Like, there are men. If I had the size of a H3 show, I would pick someone who's like, you know, an expert who does. There's people like Ali Ansari who would just be way more interesting if you want to teach your audience about Iran. But I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting to look into because the response seems to be changing. Trump is talking a little bit about boots on the ground, I believe.
Yep.
But Hegseth definitely is. Listen to this.
Thank you, Secretary Hegseth. I had 2 questions for you. First, are there currently any American boots on the ground in Iran?
No, but we're not going to go into the exercise.
Hold on, I'm going to pull this up on YouTube because, once again, shitty audio. By the way, oh my god, there's some actual incredible bits on this. In anyone who would even minutely disappoint his point of view. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't even think like a libbed out Iran academic would necessarily dispute your, would dispute his views. You could find like someone who's pretty libbed out, but I guess Ali Ansari isn't just going to say exactly what you want. I don't know. Who do I need to search, by the way? Hegseth. Because this audio's crap. Don't worry, I already pre-did this, so I know what time to get to.
The goals. What would be the goal line here for you?
I think the Secretary laid out the military objectives, and that's what we execute against is the military objectives.
Last one right here.
Yep. Right here. Thank you, Secretary Hegseth. I had 2 questions for you. First, are there currently any American boots on the ground in Iran?
No, but we're not going to go into the exercise of what we will or will not do. I think it's one of those fallacies for a long time that this department or presidents or others should tell the American people this, and our enemies, by the way, here's exactly what we'll do. Here's exactly how long we'll go.
By the way, he feels so smart and clever about this. I don't know whether Ansari was against the sanctions. I just know he's friends with some pretty questionable historians. Dominic Sandbrook and the Tom Holland guy. Those 2 are pretty questionable. In their episode about Vietnam, they were like, yeah, there's no goodies and baddies here. You know, everyone's bad in this context. It's like,
exactly how far we'll go. Here's what we're willing to do and not do. It's foolishness. And so President Trump ensures that our enemies understand we'll go as far as we need to go to advance American interests. But we're not dumb about it. You don't have to roll 200,000 people in there and stay for 20 years. We've proven that you can achieve objectives that advance American interests without being foolish about it. Now, will we be bold about it? Are we willing to be decisive about it? Do we put months and months of planning into what?
But this is the thing. Like, you set out with the objective of establishing a regime change in Iran, right? You know, you were talking about that. You're talking about fomenting a revolution and ensuring that it succeeds in the way that you want. So what is this? What is this? Why are you now saying, oh, we'll do whatever, we won't rule anything out? What are you talking about here?
Kind of effects we want to achieve? Absolutely. But going forward, why in the world would we tell you, the enemy, anybody, what we will or will not do in pursuit of an objective? We fight to win. We fight to achieve the objectives the President of the United States has laid out.
I also really enjoy how he's kind of making out that he's done something like unbelievable here. Some like amazingly new thing. The notion that they're doing something like unbelievable. The US has done multiple huge shock and awe operations where they engage in a huge bombardment campaign also almost instantaneously. Like, that was a lesson that they learned from, like, previous assaults. And have they ever deposed people there? Like, people in countries? Yeah. It's not something amazingly new.
We will do so unapologetically. Thank you.
Any significance
And yeah, you're right. It's the first Sigma war.
To Israel carrying out the strike to kill the Ayatollah? And I wanted to know, what was your immediate reaction to finding out?
He talks about regime change in here as well. He also says the word squirts, which is quite interesting. Okay, so this is right at the start.
Iran's stubborn and self-evident nuclear pursuits, their targeting of global shipping lanes, and their swelling arsenal of ballistic missiles and killer drones are no longer tolerable risks. Iran was building powerful missiles and drones to create a conventional shield for their nuclear blackmail ambitions. Let me say that again. A conventional shield for their nuclear blackmail ambitions. Our bases, our people, our allies, all in their crosshairs. Iran had a conventional gun to our head as they tried to lie their way to a nuclear bomb.
Do you think he wrote this speech himself? Because conventional gun to our head. Bro, why did you need the word conventional in there? You could have just said a gun to our head.
It almost worked under Obama and his terrible deal, but not under this president. Turns out the regime who chanted death to America and death to Israel was gifted death from America and death from Israel.
I bet that shit went so hard when he was drunk, like writing that. He's like, oh, I'm going to turn it on itself, man.
This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it.
What does this mean? What does this mean? This isn't a regime change war, but the regime change did happen, and the world's better off for it. Is it? You set the region on fire, so how is it better? How is it better? Explain clearly what objectives are, but that doesn't really happen, but I'm not watching a long-ass video of him. There's some interesting points, though.
Today, in their desperation, the enemy is unmasked. As Iranian missiles and drones rain down indiscriminately on the hotels, airports, apartments, and other civilian targets of their neighbors. Cowardly terrorist tactics.
By the way, how many people Israel strikes on Lebanon kill? 52. Israel has already killed more people than Iran has just inside Lebanon. How many have they've killed scores more on occupied area, on heavily populated areas. They've killed huge amounts of people. You know? But this is the thing. They're all starting to talk about putting boots on the ground in future deployments, and maybe it's a misdirect. We all saw that video of Hegseth feeling really smart about, you know, going, oh, we monitor the open source channels. We know about the pizza. You guys on Twitter think you're so clever? Ha ha ha, we know about your pizza. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just troubling. And I do think this could end with the US boots on the ground to achieve the regime change. I do. I think, like, how else do you do it? I think this keeps being pointed out. The only thing that they could also happen, and I did have a couple of things that I wanted to pull up related to this, but it's okay. What people can cross-check this if they want. It's true. The US has been attacking. Actually, no. You know what? I should pull this up. Hold on. So this is a police station in Iran. It's just been eviscerated, pretty much. Well, eviscerated is not the correct term, but it's been destroyed. They have been doing Besiege headquarters. They have been doing this, especially in Kurdish areas, where the US and Israel have been targeting Besiege headquarters alongside police stations and law enforcement areas. Now, what this may be is an attempt to destroy Iran's ability to crush a protest in the hope that the protests are of the same size as previously, and that it is basically a situation in which they're, you know, unable to crack down on a major uprising. And I do think that there's plausibility to that, by the way, that there is plausibility, that they are waiting, that they are telling contacts that they have inside the country to wait until later they kind of activate them and tell them to go to the streets. The only complicating factor to that is it is very clear that there are people mourning Khamenei, first of all, in quite sizable numbers, and also there are a lot of people who are losing family members and civilians, and you can't really trick Iranians into believing that Iranians are, you know, that the Iranians launched this war. They didn't do that. They also, I mean, this is what they did in Gaza, by the way. This is what Israel did. Israel destroyed the Hamas police services in the belief that Hamas wouldn't be able to control Gaza. But obviously, they misread, because apart from people like Ahmed Fuad al-Khatib, there in Gaza, people aren't going to be like, Hamas did all of this to us. There were definite protests that were real. There are people in Gaza who don't all love Hamas, but the notion that everyone in Gaza hates Hamas, no, because since the events occurred, and since Israel, you know, since there's been a ceasefire, you haven't seen these big protests that are allegedly happening. But I think that that's also, you know, in fact, actually, thinking about it, are the US using Kurds from Syria in Iran? I mean, the thing about Iran and Kurds is the Peshmergas have real grievances with both the Shah, which is actually why it's one of the crazy reasons to prop up the Shah. The Iranian Kurds have had long-standing grievances with the governments. When the Islamic Revolution first happened, they wanted some kind of like autonomy, and the Iranian revolution, the revolution did not really offer it to them, and eventually they started cracking down harder and harder. But they also really do not like the Shah and his history, the history of the Iranian monarchy. But anyway, the Peshmergas have fought against the Iranians. Peshmergas is like the word for Kurdish militant. They have fought against the Iranian government before. They are organized. They have political parties. And obviously in other places like Iraq, you have the same thing. In Syria and Turkey, you have people who have military experience who are totally outside of the system of, support for the Iranian government. And so maybe the US will choose to back them and be like, okay, you go do the regime change operation. And we've destroyed everything in your area that might prevent, you from being able to do that. Any counterweight to you doing that. And then maybe that's what they expect. But also, I was just thinking, some of you mentioned civil war. You do see a lot of people who are still, and obviously not everyone, but who are upset that Khamenei is killed and who are against the uprising in... who are against the uprising in, who are against the uprising, and so, who are against the striking and are against the uprising, and so maybe it does descend into civil war. Maybe it maybe it could. There's no guarantee that it doesn't, and there's no unifying figure, and of internal movements that are kind of that way. It's probably Kurdish militants, but also there may well be others. Maybe the MEK. Also, by the way, I've just seen this from a relatively reputable source. Look at Trump's fucking rash. Someone says that this might be a stretch. Ragip Soylu has said that this may well be a stress-related rash. And so I feel like for the little Ethan's Basement segment on this, I feel like a good thing to put in here to end it with, or to draw it close, is to say, probably if this is real, it could well be, it wouldn't surprise me. Trump is probably stressing because already there's all of this blowback in the region. There's all of these problems for European allies who are like, why did you do this? You probably could have got a deal that would have been untenable for a government that was... By the way, the bind the Islamic Republic was in was impossible. It was impossible. The Iranian government, its economy was collapsing. It could not deal with the demands of the protesters and people who wanted a better economy. And a lot of people are like, okay, this looks like life support and perhaps the next round of protests will be what takes it down. But then Trump, brought in by Israel, was... it pushed to it by Israel in part, is now fucking that up and is burning the entire region. Are they planning for a ground invasion? I don't really know. I don't really know. Also, just quickly on that note of the Gulf, the UAE is projected to exhaust its interceptor missile stock within 1 week at the current rate of fire, and Qatar within 4 days. Both are urgently seeking additional military support from the United States. What are they going to do? They sold all their missile interceptors to Ukraine. What is going to happen? Russia just pushes on and wins? In my understanding, Russia has been grinding and grinding and grinding towards a win for a very long time, or whatever they could constitute as a military victory, but hard as well. But this kind of thing of the Gulf states are not happy. Where are they going to get these interceptors from? The US has obviously chosen to protect Israel, which is a stupid decision. Choosing to protect Israel is stupid. It is genuinely stupid. It is indicative of how America is not forward-thinking. China, in this case, the difference between China and America is China wouldn't protect Israel. They would protect what was actually interesting and important to them. Now they are fucked. What, Russia? I thought it was they were just basically throwing bodies and making small territorial gains for a very long time. But anyway, what do you do here? Do you just tell Ukraine, get fucked, you're not having anything, you're having absolutely no more missile defenses, and then Russia just blows the shit out of you? Because even if France joins, okay, what? You start putting up loads of fighter jets to shoot this stuff down. What kind of happens then? What kind of happens then? After that? But I think focusing on Israel strategically and for the world and for your allies is really, really stupid. Genuinely. Also, holy fucking shit. Do you remember when the Bahrain, when they struck that hotel in Bahrain, Iran claimed earlier that they had intelligence that there were, you know, State Department officials or American diplomats there, excuse me. Turns out they weren't lying. Apparently, the Washington Post is reporting that 2 State Department employees have been injured in that strike on a hotel. That's what that was. Oh, you're saying that Ukraine is fucked. I mean, this is fucking Ukraine even more. And then what do? There's that whole thing about 2027 China invading Taiwan, right? Also, for all the people who just drone on and on about you supporting the Islamic Republic, you do not have to venerate it. I have no love for Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein genocided Kurdish people, like he genuinely did. He did things that Khamenei has never done. But like, I've got to say, this fucking that doesn't mean that I can think that the invasion of Iraq is good, or that America having more power is going to bring about good things. It's about recognizing a very real history and wanting genuine change, not this. I think Iranians should have the right to choose what they live under, to live under something accountable, and I think that there are very real demands there, but the US does not want that. The US history shows you that. Just look at any other example, even during the Arab Spring, non-violent protests. What did the US do? Oh, well done, guys. We're not going to back you. And if we like the country's dictatorship who you live under, we're actually maybe just going to back them instead. I mentioned this, by the way, about Bahrain, because also, this is an interesting topic. Hold on. This guy's, by the way, best political analyst on Twitter, this handsome chappy, Chris Kunzler. Oh, it does make me think of that. But look, in Bahrain... This is not sectarian politics. Someone left a comment that was like, Bahrainis always call... Shias in Bahrain are too loyal to Iran. They cause problems. No. Shias in Bahrain are more likely to be restive because they're ruled over by an unaccountable Sunni monarchy that fuels fears, and they're just more likely to protest because of that. It's not because they're mad sectarians, but by killing Khamenei, a guy who is old and on his way out, you are inflaming something that threatens a region. And how the Bahraini government, which is called the Khalifa monarchy, how they actually crushed the Bahraini uprising. It's a really sad story, by the way. The Bahrainis deserve freedom and justice, and they wanted a vote on what they should be ruled under. And their demands, by the way, were actually way more similar to the Green Revolution in Iran, which was a revolution against the government, than they were to the politics of being ruled over by a theocratic dictatorship. But anyway, how this was crushed by the Bahraini monarchy was not like the Bahrainis doing so well. It's because the Gulf sent in huge amounts of the what's called the Shield Force. So it was like Kuwaiti and Emirati policemen and also UAE and Saudi soldiers. They were sent in. They all crossed over the bridge. There's very famous imagery of it. They freed up the Bahraini security forces. The Gulf Shield forces didn't actually confront any of the protesters, but the Bahraini security forces then went and smashed everything. They destroyed the revolutionary movement there. And now, do you think they're going to be sending them in? No. Also, you want to see a fucked up thing? Look up, if you're ever interested, look up what Obama said about this. He claimed that the Shias here protesting were Iranian implants. That's what I mean about the spectre of Iran as well, and why you need to address it. These people use it to justify supporting brutal dictatorships. It's disgusting. There's also a sack of shit called, a sack of shit. I think it's this guy. Yeah, I'm sure it's him. Philip Hammond, one of the worst guys you can imagine. Hold on, I'll tell you some of the things this piece of shit said. In 2015, Philip Hammond praised Bahrain as a country which is traveling in the correct, in the right direction and making significant reforms after they just destroyed a democratic uprising and had done nothing. Also, do you know what we do? What do we do that's so noble? No tear gas to Bahrain, but you can have other weapons. And he also made loads of money from what he did. Yeah, by making himself a shill. Did Chris go to college? I went to university. I don't know if you'd call that college. And I went to sixth form, which is our equivalent of... Well, there's an equivalent called college. So I went to a sixth form college. Okay, you know what? We'll have a little funny relief segment of talking about expats in Dubai from the UK. Let's have a listen to this guy, Will Bailey.
72 hours now. I don't know if you can hear, there's actually quite a lot of jets flying over me at the moment, which is rather unsettling being outside. But yeah, basically landed on Saturday morning, 3 a.m, woke up.
You all right? Did something just go thud behind you?
Background? Yes. Sorry, I'm very on edge.
No, Will, listen, if...
You went to the slavers' paradise, and there were consequences? The slavers who go around and mass kill and enable mass killing all over the Middle East? Damn.
You need, I can see the city behind you. We can't hear it clearly as well as you can, but if you need to get in and make yourself safe, go and make yourself safe, and we'll do this another time, because that's the key thing.
It did sound quite far away, but the reason I'm so panicky, there's a lot, like, here's in a nutshell, right? There's a lot of people in Dubai who are not taking it as seriously as some others, but long story short is Saturday afternoon, we were leaving a beach club opposite the Fairmont Hotel that was hit by the drone, and we were, 40 to 50 meters away. If we'd set off a minute earlier, we'd have been at that taxi rank that the drone hit. So the five of us that are here that have moved slightly out of the city are very, very panicky, on edge. Like I'm.
But what I will say is, I can see why people all around the world are happy about fucking Tel Aviv and Dubai getting struck. Well, I guess the UAE, the center of power is actually Abu Dhabi, not Dubai, but people just make that mistake. It's really amazing. Oh my God. Also, sorry. Wait, Caroline Levitt has genuinely posted that one of the reasons... No, this cannot be real. Caroline Levitt has said that one of the reasons for Operation Epic Fury is to stop the Iranians from making and using IEDs or roadside bombs. What are you talking about? Even if you did a regime change, someone could still make a roadside bomb in any country. What, are you going to ban ammonium nitrate? Are you going to ban fertilizer? Jesus fucking Christ. Sorry, we'll go back to this.
Shaking now, just hearing that sound.
I mean, like, look, it mustn't be fun when you're in a place that's getting bombed, but remember where you are and remember what the prerequisite of what you're doing is. You know that, right? You know what the prerequisite, learn about what the country you're in. It's not some fucking, like, liberal paradise as you make out. It's not some amazing place to go on holiday. It is a country, the prerequisite of all of the opulent wealth that you get to enjoy and the safety is mass killing and oppression of other human beings who are just like you, you know? Like, this is why I find it hard to feel, like, major sympathy for people there. It's just... it's just like... The prerequisite is literally a genocide and mass sexual abuse of Sudanese people. Right? Like, that's what the country's doing. And you going there legitimizes it. There's more of this, by the way, that we are hearing a lot from British people in Dubai.
Feels like it's out of a movie. It just did not feel real.
We had been in the lower ground floor of our hotel for many hours, trying to decide what to do. And, you know, people were bringing in mattresses from the sunbeds to sleep in the corridors and trying to stay away from any glass. And I just decided that actually I thought the best idea was to try and get a car and get to my husband in Oman. I never really expected that.
God, imagine you rock up in Oman and then you just get hit by the fucking Shahhead as soon as you arrive. Damn, bro, not a good experience. Thumbs down.
To happen in Dubai. I feel very relieved that we are here. I think, you know, I'm glad that we did make the decision to leave.
Here. Oh my God, it's a bomb.
Oh my God! I am starting to feel like, what does my future look like here? It's very uncertain right now for me.
Some people got evacuated, and some people...
US veteran! No! No, no, no! The hellscape that is Dubai is populated with fucking influencers and US veterans. Oh, no, 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 no. Where are all the Labubu's at? Why can't you talk about Labubu's or something nice?
We're looking forward to going home. How we feel is not really the objective. Completing the mission is the objective. And
what mission?
Regardless, we got to stand behind our commander-in-chief, regardless of what happens.
Oh my fucking God, no! No! Oh! Oh, I thought someone was going to be like, you can't tar all veterans. Listen to this guy, we got to stand by the commander-in-chief. Bro, the commander-in-chief is a racist. You are a black guy. The commander-in-chief is someone who's written about how he wants to go on crusades all around the world. I've heard there are quite a few black Muslims. Don't know about that, but I think they might be... I think that an ultra-racist drunkard is some guy who I may not want to stand behind. Just if I gave you a little tip there.
Happens. So it is what it is.
I went for a little walk around just to see what was going on, and there was a room that I went into as well, and it was an air-conditioned room, and there was even more people than there were outside in the car park in this tiny room, babies, kids, parents. It was just, I was like, this feels like it's out of a movie. It just did not feel real.
We actually were on a boat.
Yeah, the movie is The Life of Jeffrey Epstein.
When the Fairmont was hit, so we could see the missiles kind of flying above the boat. But yeah, I do think I'm going to go home as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, Dubai is just the collection of the worst people imaginable. Just, oh God. Ugh. I don't know. I don't even know. Their propagandists are just unbelievable. You know what? We have to watch this again. We have to watch this again.
I'm actually so scared. I'm in JVC right now, and I can see... Oh, no.
Oh, no, the Labubu factory's gonna go. These privileged tax exiles remember that they have a country that formerly gave them a leg up when it's time to call Daddy State to rescue them. Yeah, unfortunately, what they might not realize is all those people that make Dubai run, they can't call anyone. Thanks for the donation, Thomas. Oh, yeah, true. So sorry. The commander-in-chief is not a drunkard. He is a racist, but he also is a close friend of one of the world's most famous pedophiles. And actually, he is someone who may well have abused children with one of the world's most famous pedophiles. So I tend to think that we shouldn't stand behind people who do that. But I do retract my previous comment. Trump is just, he's not as racist, but he is pretty racist.
Not meant to be happening here. Can't everyone just chill out? The biggest concern is that people, like, I don't want anyone getting hurt, you know what I mean? Like, I've been hearing loud explosions sort of like in the background all day, and it's like, the sound, it shakes the windows. I don't know how to explain it. It's like the weirdest sound ever, and now I'm seeing them. This is not fun, guys. We're supposed to be in the safest place. Like, I love the UAE. I love being here. I feel so safe all the time, and now I can see it, like...
Now I see that they're actually in the Middle East. No,
Please, just stop. Scared. I'm actually.
Khamenei, stop. Now. Please. Also, we gotta get some of these closed. Too many things up. Too many. Getting reports of too many tabs open. Oh my god, Keir Starmer jump scare. That's how many tabs we got open right now. Jesus Christ. It doesn't stop. I mean, also, by the way, there are actually some pretty serious problems for these people who are still there. Loads of people own property now. They're not like just expats who rent, who just live in places, who are, you know, there for a tiny bit and then they get to go home. Unfortunately, that's not how it works these days. These people have built lives in Dubai and they are stuck there. They're going to have to pay the consequences. By the way, I genuinely think the UAE is paying these people. I think they might have paid Andrew Tate.
The best stop crying. In the world. I ain't leaving Dubai. I love you more. Half of my money. Look at the facts, guys. One fatality. Across all 6 Gulf. No, I don't. One.
By the way, it's actually quite weird because these two people are friends. Also, does that guy have a Palestine flag in his bio? Why are you in Dubai?
For sure.
They're running like a genuine propaganda campaign. And I've mentioned this before. Tons of the propaganda campaign revolves around this notion that, tons of the propaganda campaign revolves around the notion that if you were in London, you'd be getting stabbed. Hold on. I can't actually find one, but they're all fucking, they keep talking about how they're like, oh, if you are in London, you will get stabbed. And that's their excuse. So you should go to Dubai and get blown up by the Shahed drone instead of going to live in London because London's, you get stabbed, everyone gets stabbed there. It's like, bro, I'll take that over getting Shahed droned and having to put up with this crap, having to live in the genocidal place that I'm not from at all. It's really fucking wild, the Dubai Labubu Palace. He is an Iraq veteran. He's also a government contractor. Oh my fucking god. But yeah, like, this is by, this is a post by someone. This is in Sudan. I don't know where it is in Sudan, but he posted the work of your trips to Dubai. No doubt. You guys go to Dubai. You legitimize the UAE. The UAE is an evil, genocidal settler colony. They are sorry, not a settler colony. It's not a settler colony. It's kind of a colony of Britain at one point, but it's extended well beyond that. But now it is this thing where it is carrying out heinous crimes all over the region, and you don't give a shit about that. And then when there's the tiniest bit of consequence, you're like, "Oh my god, I'm so upset. I'm so upset." Also, there's also like this stock campaign, which, does this mean, are you worried? Look who protects us. They love this meme. You live in Dubai, aren't you scared? No, here's MBZ looking awful. The Trucial States, yeah. It was once upon a time the Trucial States. Hold on, let me just mute my mic. I need to... hard with your favorite finger. Yeah, I mean, the only person I have sympathy for is my dog is in... No! One of the greatest tweets of all time has been deleted. No! Oh no, it hasn't. This is a tweet. I know I showed it yesterday. This is golden. Just got to Just got to Newcastle Airport. They're not letting us check in for our flight to Dubai that leaves in 2 hours. Don't you think you really want... don't you think you really want to go there at the moment? Iran bombing everyone in the Middle East. My dog is in Dubai, mate. He could be in the middle of a war zone, and I'd be doing everything I can to get him. It's beautiful. That is MBZ. What do you mean that's not MBZ? That is MBZ. What are you talking about? That's categorically MBZ in that video. I will literally actually, I can't rewind, but that's MBZ in the video. Why do you think it's not him? Yeah, I took you a minute. Yeah, it's because I started doing it. It wasn't a great Newcastle accent at first. If your dog is in Dubai without you, that ain't your dog. What? Yeah, why would he be... Me dog is in Dubai. Loner Box be like, me dog is in Dubai. Nah, my dog Destiny is trapped over in Israel, and I'm going on a mission to retrieve his sperm. Wait. Brits stranded in Dubai. I bet this is a never-ending gold mine of... That's Al Maktoum. One of them was MBZ, though. One of them was definitely MBZ. You might be right, actually. Maybe it is him now I'm thinking about it. Hold on. Now I'm going to have to look at it. Hold on. I've got to find this video again now. Here it is. Okay, right. That is Maktoum, you're right. My bad. That is not MBZ. Oh my god, I'm wrong. Thank you for correcting me. Brits stranded in Dubai. Hold on, I want to find something good here. Is this a longer video?
Oh my god, it's bomb debris. Here. Oh my god, it's a bomb.
Oh my God!
This regional war has become personal. Iran's attacks reaching the homes of some of Dubai's residents.
No joking, guys. We have just been hit by a drone. We heard it coming. It stinks of oil in here. I didn't even finish my cup of tea.
Embassy and government advice to shelter in place for most means to stay at...
Imagine being stuck in fucking Dubai and just having a drone strike. That sounds like hell on earth, mate. I feel sorry them, not for the drone strike, but just because of the being in Dubai situation.
Home, but that wasn't a safe option for some people today. This sense of terror has driven some families to hit the road to Oman in search of safety. One family, a mother, grandmother and newborn baby, staying at the Fairmont on Dubai's Palm when it was hit, chose to drive through the night to the Omani border.
We had been in the lower ground floor of our hotel for many hours, trying to decide what to do. And, you know, people were bringing in
we saw this,
mattresses.
we saw her complaining. That's the veteran guy. Oh, wait, we didn't see this bit.
Going home.
This has been another unnerving day for the UAE, another unnerving day for the region. There's a big difference between targeting American military assets and hitting national infrastructure and terrorizing civilians.
Well, wait. I mean, I've heard that the US State Department were using human shields. I've heard that they were using human shields over in Bahrain. We just saw that, which I'm now missing. State Department injuries. Hold on. We just saw that, didn't we? That there were injuries in Bahrain. Where is this? Oh, God. Bahrain hotel. How do we not know that the US wasn't using Yeah, the Washington Post spoke about this. U.S. State Department personnel injured in Bahrain hotel strike. Guys, this is human shields. This is human shields, right? This means, I mean, Iran should have blown up the whole fucking hotel, I think, because these were two State Department officials. These people pretended to be civilians and were in a hotel. If they were with their families, by the way, blowing up their entire family wouldn't even be a question. That would be something we should justify. The US State Department is using human shields. They are hiding in hotels. They are putting the lives at risk of huge amounts of citizens from another country. They thus don't care about civilians. In fact, these poor Bahrainis probably didn't know that there were State Department officials there. This is actually sick and twisted, and it kind of proves that we should strike Israel.
The UAE says Tehran has crossed a red line, and it's currently reviewing its options in terms of how it will respond.
The UAE prides itself in its reputation of being a safe place to live and to holiday. Images of tourists sleeping in underground car parks could not be...
Oh my God, was that Peter Griffin?
Car parks.
Oh no, it's not got the right trousers.
Parks could not be further than the image it seeks to project. Mia and Dara are desperate to get home.
It was an air-conditioned room, and there was even more people than there were outside in the car park.
Okay, we kind of saw this bit anyway. I just wanted to see if there's any sort of quality people talking about what's going on in Dubai, Doha, and all of these wonderful places that are the Gulf. But no. Peter, we're stuck in Dubai. I've been hit by a Shahed drone. You know I'm about to make a TikTok about that saying, oh, the US have been caught using evil human shields. Is there anything that I still need to cover? Hold on, let me check my document. Trump's second speech, Al Jazeera graphic, Kuwaiti air defense. Oh shit, we haven't even covered the attacks on energy infrastructure. By the way, the attacks on energy infrastructure today were pretty huge. So Chevron says it was instructed by Israel to shut the Leviathan gas field. Now, the Leviathan gas field is an offshore gas field. By the way, this has been reported by others. It's not just Al Jazeera. The Leviathan gas field is... Where actually is it? It's in the Med. It's west of Haifa. So there had been claims that there had been some strikes on it, but yeah, this is already having large consequences. European natural gas now up 40%. Apparently, it's not quite that high, but it is going up still. It's up considerably. So amazing things are going to be happening in the UK. Because Qatar Energy stops liquefied natural gas. That's what LNG stands for. Qatar, due to military attacks on Qatar's energy operating facilities in Ras Laffan Industrial City and Mesaid Industrial City in the state of Qatar Energy has ceased production of liquefied natural gas and associated products. Qatar Energy values its relationship with all of its stakeholders and will continue to communicate with the latest available information. End. Qatar provides 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas and warms 40% of UK homes. Israeli-American adventurism, triggering a reckless Iranian spray and pray approach, now impacts global energy trade. I mean, this is just obvious what they were going to do. Like, it was obvious that Iran would do this. The US knew that Iran would do this. I think they gambled that they'd collapse the Iranian government very quickly with the killing of Khamenei. And I know that Trump will have been like, well, I've done it before. When I killed Maduro, that was it. Venezuela didn't want to respond. Someone else will tell Iran, that they've got to stop. But they didn't. They didn't. Iran chose to engage militarily. Like, by the way, someone, Matthew Petty just posted this. The Iranian regime will not fight a war. It will capitulate very quickly if seriously threatened. That was in 2024. I don't know. It's insane. It's genuinely insane. The spike in gas prices is genuinely wild. And by the way, there have been more attacks. Qatar have said that there's also been claims of a power plant and a facility at its main liquefied natural gas production site. Another sign after the Ras Tanura attack in Saudi earlier that Iran now seems to be aiming at critical infrastructure. Oh my God, I forgot to... Saudi fire. There was a fire in Saudi Arabia at an oil facility. Saudi Arabia shut down its biggest domestic oil refinery.
Saudi Arabia has shut down its biggest domestic oil refinery after it intercepted 2 drones at the facility. The fire caused by debris at around...
So, this is the problem. This isn't even an actual attack by the Iranians. The Saudis intercepted, and it fell, and it burned down the... and it caused a fire. So they've now shut this down. So what else do you think is going to keep on happening? They'll keep on being shutdowns. This is not a good situation. Imagine when they start going... imagine when Iran goes, fuck it, we're towards our end. The US threatens us. We will do whatever we can. We will fire as much as we can at... we will fire as much as we can at the... at oil fields, critical infrastructure, to punish Europe, to punish the Gulf countries for what they've done. It's a tough situation.
Aramco's Ras Tanura refinery is under control. Supplies haven't been affected, and there were no injuries according to Saudi officials. Qatar's natural gas production has also stopped as Iranian missiles hit 2 energy facilities. Oil prices have surged globally since the US-Israeli strikes on Iran. The Strait of Hormuz...
This is probably the most terrifying thing about Trump's statements today, which is that if there's 4 to 5 weeks of this, what happens? What happens? 4 to 5 weeks. There was an article put out today by by the way, this is by Krieg as well. If Saudi follows to shut their oil production, oil prices could go beyond $150 a barrel. Oh shit! Actually, maybe a reason that Saudi Arabia would actually want this was to increase the price of oil. Saudi oil had apparently been low, but I think that already that's kind of... There may be other consequences for Saudi, but this could be the Gulf's 1973 moment, forcing Trump to climb down. I think that might be the gamble that they're making. I said this on the first day that we kind of saw this. I think the gamble that they make is we should bomb, and obviously the Saudi one does actually genuinely seem to be an accident, genuinely. But, by the way, someone's asked Grok here, the 1973 is the oil crisis provoked by OPEC's decision to limit oil supply to Western countries because of their...
it is utterly ridiculous.
Because of the 1970... because of the... because of the... what's it called? Yom Kippur War? No, that's not it. How have I forgotten the name? It's the 1973 one. Oh, it is the Yom Kippur War. I was right. Yeah. Former empire will war for food. I mean, also, actually, you know what? Food isn't even an aspect that's really mentioned. UAE imports of Iranian food. The UAE imports huge amounts of Iranian food, by the way. So, quite important. Quite interesting. No, 7-day, the 6-day war is the 7-day war. Was it 7 days? That one. Lucky as my car is broken down. Yeah, it might be a good time to have a broken down car. And might not be maybe it'll be cheap to fix because no one will be driving around. There was Faye Tooks noted this, that The EU has reached a panic moment as not all member states have sufficient energy reserves. A leading analyst says the EU is likely to increase energy imports from Russia. So now the EU is forced to fund Russian invasion of Ukraine whilst Ukraine gets no weapons because the situation is because Israel needs them. I may be wrong about the amount it imports from Iran. I don't know the exact amount. Exports non-oil goods worth. Apparently, although the Tehran Times, which how reliable it is, I don't know, says non-oil goods worth 5.2 billion were imported to the UAE in 8 months in 2025. They import most of their food. The exact number of the amount that comes from Iran is not 100% true. So this is making Russia stronger. Yes, this does make Russia stronger. Russia does get stronger out of this. The Six-Day War is in 1967, but in 73 is the Yom Kippur War. Ukraine should be getting much more support than Israel, regardless of your views on Ukraine in general. I mean, in terms of it being a country subjected to a genuine invasion, yeah. Like, yes. And also the fact that Israel causes all of these problems for itself, you know? Let's hope the desalination facilities don't get hit by shrapnel. God forbid. Super glad our infrastructure depends on fossil fuels, especially automobiles. Yeah, it's really amazing that for some reason we choose not because China's leading the way forward, that we are just unwilling to do, we're unwilling to move towards that. Let's see what Al Jazeera are up to right now.
Some people have still not been home since then. And so the country is straining to deal with. Schools in Beirut have been closed today. The students are not, they're not taking lessons, but instead they've been opened up as shelters for people who are coming in from the south and Beirut's southern.
My friend told me a really interesting story about the Six-Day War that is something to do with the reverse engineering of Soviet military air power, but I don't actually remember the whole story.
Understand that Lebanon as a state has the right to decide between war and peace, but they think that people who defend against what they term the occupation should not be dealt with harshly.
All right, Heidi, thank you for the update. That's Heidi Pett reporting there live from...
I should say I don't encourage the working class to kill each other for the benefit of oligarchs. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that. By the way, there are a lot of people making a lot of money from this, which is so incredibly grotesque.
Today they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think...
German news with my parents. The only thing the networks are concerned about in regards to Iran is the oil prices and the travellers stuck in Dubai. British news is probably the same, hence why I'm not watching it. I don't think Al Jazeera is perfect, by the way. It's Qatari state-owned media, which, by the way, more free country than Israel, so better than watching Israeli news. I mean, Israeli news is fucking insane. But yeah, it's very intriguing. It's very intriguing as to what people are concerned about.
There's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think you'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now, I guarantee you that, to go through what I had to go through. We also projected 4 weeks to terminate the military.
By the way, the Dow is down below 50,000.
Let's discuss this further now with Harlan Ullman, who's chairman of the Kilowan Group and a former U.S. Navy officer. He's joining us from Washington, D.C. Thank you once again for being with us on Al Jazeera. What is your understanding of the U.S. military strategy? We heard there from President Trump, who said this could go on for 4 to 5.
I don't know what is grown locally in the UAE, but apparently they import 80 to 85% of their food.
He left that an open question. Where is the U.S. going with this?
I'm not sure about the pink jumper.
Nobody really knows. It's not the military strategy, it's the overarching strategy. And very, very recent reporting from the White House suggests that the White House is in some confusion. In a classified briefing that took place on Capitol Hill, the Pentagon told the staffers that there was no imminent threat. This completely contradicts what the president and Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, have said. And all this amounts to real confusion as to where the administration is heading and what it's meant to be doing. And so at this stage, we're really almost in strategic freefall. What the military is doing is quite clear. The U.S. military, and I'll come back to that in a second, in conjunction with the Israelis, are taking out all sorts of military targets. And that will continue. But for the time being,
I may actually call the stream here just because I have been live for a rather long time already, nearly 4 hours, just under. And I think I'm probably going to try and make a couple of TikToks before I go to bed tonight. And I don't know if there's much other news that I want to cover right now. But yeah, 7 advanced drones. Claims of Iran shooting down drones. Sorry, here's a video of apparently an Iranian drone. I don't know if that's real. I don't know. That doesn't look real, especially the shockwave. I don't know. This does not look like someone who... Oh no, apparently this is someone who stands for Palestine. I don't know. But no, I think that's probably the end. Yeah, no, I think I'll probably end the stream. Gymshark. Yeah, I trained earlier, so I'm wearing this. I think I'm probably going to end it. Yeah, I'm going to end the stream. I'm kind of getting tired. Obviously, it's been a lot of streaming recently. Thank you for everyone who watched and donated and commented. Thank you for all of your support as always. I will see you guys tomorrow. It's probably going to be an everyday type streaming thing, apart from maybe Saturday, depending on the news on Saturday. Oh, and I've got No Politic here on Thursday, so we'll see about Thursday and what happens there. But thank you guys all for coming. Thank you guys all for supporting, watching. See you guys later. If you want to join the Discord, check out the link. It's pinned. I'll see you guys soon. So have a great rest of the day.